Happy New Year from the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. And Happy New Year to Macklin Celebrini, who has made Team Canada. TSN Draft guru Craig Button joins us to talk about Celebrini making the Olympic team. Button was telling people back in July that Macklin was going to make the team. So I think Craig deserves to run a victory lap. Also, too, he's going to talk a little bit about the 2026 draft. We also check in on what I call the Randy Hahn line. Since the Sharks have ripped off 3 straight wins, they have the first wildcard spot. I'm going to ask you guys, do you think the Sharks are going to make the playoffs? In this 3-game winning streak, Igor Chernyshov, he's been amazing. The Sharks are buzzing. So I talked with another scout, another AHL scout about Chernyshov, so I wanted to share his thoughts. Finally, we talk about the value of playoff experience or playing playoff-like games, games that matter for the likes of Chernyshov and company. That obviously is related to what should the Sharks do with their many, many UFAs, Alex Wennberg, Mario Ferraro, John Klingberg, etc., etc.
Love it. Lots of exciting topics. And before we get into it, just a quick thank you and shout out to our sponsor who makes San Jose Hockey Now happen, BringHockeyBack.net. Again, visit BringHockeyBack.net for team jerseys, all sorts of great swag. I love their trending swag. Are you wearing something right now, Shingers?
Yes, I am. And I probably should have used, the Sharks are not the Shorks right now. But this is my favorite shirt, though, so up there. So
there's a great shirt. So, yeah,
I want to say, too, that I spoke with Peter yesterday, Peter Schenken, and he's a big part of Bring Hockey Back along with Sam. It's Sam's company, and our jerseys, our San Jose Hockey Now jerseys are on the conveyor belt, he says.
Yes, let's go.
Slowly but surely, they're making their way here from Hawaii. So.
And then I mentioned Frost Cupcake Factory last time we shot, and I got a free T-shirt out of it. So I'm going to mention Amazon. I'm going to mention DevCon. I'm going to mention a lot of things since we have a lot of amazing viewers out there. But shout out to Andrea and Frost Cupcake Factory. She doesn't know this right now, but if you go in there and you say, Dan Boyle told me to come in, we're going to get you guys 20% off cupcakes. She doesn't know this yet. She may not sign off on this, but go in there. Dan Boyle said, come in, and I think she's going to knock off 20%. So let's do that.
No cupcakes.
Thanks to shout out to Frost.
No cupcakes was on my New Year's resolutions list for 26.
There it goes.
20% off. Just crushed my New Year's resolutions.
I'll be like, who? All right.
I love it. All right, so obviously the big news is Macklin making the Olympics.
Oh, Zubair,
yep.
Did you give the coupon code for Bring Hockey Back? I know we interrupted you, but
did
you get it?
Yeah, no, did not.
No, it's okay. It's okay. This is even better. That's 2 reads now for Bring Hockey Back. So coupon code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off. And again, so BringHockeyBack.net, coupon code San Jose Hockey Now, 15% off.
Or just pay full price. It's good stuff. No, that's awesome. All right, so Macklin Celebrini, obviously, it's just so much more to talk about every week, even though we think we're done talking about Macklin Celebrini. The game yesterday.
We will never be done.
We will not. Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm telling you, we won't be.
We won't be.
Actually,
no.
You know what?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I saw the first. I'm not surprised every week now what I see, but I saw a first thing I didn't think I was gonna see. He made one bad pass. I'm going reverse here. Literally one turnover. I was. Randy said it on the air, and I have been thinking, this kid never turns the puck over. No one plays a perfect game, but for some reason, I never notice him making a mistake.
I know he does turn the puck over a decent amount, but that one was a pizza.
And he probably does. I don't watch every game, but
So
that was wow. He actually is human, but I mean, he's freaking incredible, dude.
He's so incredible. It was after he fed that one up the middle and cost us a goal. I was like, I know he's going to be unreal the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, you just know that. You're just like, now he's going to be pissed off.
Yeah.
Like, he's not a guy that's going to, roll around and, pout. He's going to be like, no, I'm going to come back better. And he did.
The game was clean the rest of the way,
It's
so good. So good.
It's unreal. It's like those players that need to get hit, in order to, be their best self. Like, he's that guy. Like, if he makes a mistake, you know he's going to come back stronger and better. It's like you're not worried about it.
Can I say we don't give Dan enough credit on this one, actually, because when we did that episode when we talked about Macklin being a top 10 player, I know we were all on it. We saw it, earlier. Yeah. I mean, we watch Sharks every day, so we saw it earlier than other people. But I remember when Dan said he's a top 5 player in the league right now.
Oh, yeah.
But I forgot that because when we were promoting the episode, I was like, he said top 10, right?
You guys are trying to give him top 10. I'm like, no, he's top 5.
No, but that's how we promoted it. We promoted it top 10 because I was like, he must have said top 10 because top 5 is crazy.
No, he's top 5.
Dan motherfucking Boyle was right on that one. Like, he was like, we were like in top 10 mode. Dan Boyle was like, no, this motherfucker's, I watched him for 3 games this year and he's top 5. So.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, I don't watch the Oilers, but hard to say McDavid's not a top 3. I don't watch. I don't watch a ton of. Yeah, I know, but I don't watch a ton of Avalanche. But I know that McKinnon's a top 3. I think Celebrini's right there. I think he's right there. I at the top of my head. I mean, I love Kucherov. There's other players that I love. I love Makar. But I top 5. No doubt.
So it's crazy too because I've been watching a lot of Wild games. Because of Gene loved Quinn Hughes, and we have a Minnesota connection. So once Hughes went to Minnesota, we watched a lot of Wild games and watching a lot of Kaprizov, and Kaprizov's unreal. But then you watch Kaprizov like in the battle yesterday between him and they were going at it, like Kaprizov and Celebrini. Like you could see they're battling a lot, and you see the egos get involved. And Celebrini's like a notch above Kaprizov, and you're just like, it's just so crazy to see the difference between players, the margin of difference, even at that caliber. Like Kaprizov's like, again, to your point, Dan, like in that top 15 range in the league, 10
maybe
even?
top 10, right?
Top 10, right? For sure. And then but then the top 5, there's like another game, another level to the game. And he just has that, and he shows it every single day, which is why he was selected to Team Canada at 19.
Yep.
Insane
First
that he can also play World Juniors.
Yeah, first NHL teenager to ever be selected for the Canadian Olympic team since the NHL's gone to the Olympics.
And
crazy.
He's not getting selected as like a 4th line or like an extra.
No,
he's going to be right into the fire with, arguably the best player that we're ever going to of this generation with Sidney Crosby. So he's going to play a prominent role.
Prominent
role.
I can tell the story now, actually. So GM Doug Armstrong said that they decided on Celebrini in early December. And in early December, I saw it was in Dallas, actually. It was the first road game. It was the December 5th road game. I tweeted it out. I don't know if Armstrong was there, but Kyle Dubas was there. He's part of the Canada Brain Trust. Julian Breezewall was there. He's part of the Canada Brain Trust. I got to look at the tweet. Actually, maybe Armstrong was there too, but they had basically 3 GMs there, all part of the Canadian Brain Trust. Oh, it was Jim Nill. Sorry, it wasn't. So Armstrong, I don't know if Armstrong was actually there or not, and just not like in sight, but those 3 GMs were there. And Mike Grier was there too. So it just was 4 GMs in the same building. It was kind of unusual. But obviously, you know that they're trying to decide Team Canada. So just by happenstance, I'm standing by Kyle Dubas. And I'm cool with Kyle. So I just kind of shouted at him like, Celebrini had just had a great period, second period against Dallas. I was like, how can you not have him on the team? Kyle, how can you not have him on the team? And of course, he can't say anything. He just kind of looked at me and whatever, right? And I'm not saying that I put Macklin Celebrini on the Canadian Olympic team, but that is about when they decided, though. Obviously, when those three Canadian Brain Trusts, they're watching him in Dallas, that fits with the timeline. They probably watched him for a couple games on that road trip. Like, fuck, we can't keep this guy on. Yeah. He's in the top 12. So,
I think, again, I don't want this to turn into another Celebrini 2-hour show, but episode.
He deserves it.
Yeah, he does. I think for me, it's the way that he plays the game, both offensively, defensively. We're going to start him. They're going to start him on the second line, but should things not go well for whatever reason, which I don't anticipate, no problem seeing him on a 3rd or 4th line, checking role. And should the first line falter or whatever, I can't see how they don't put him on the first line with Connor or whatever. So I think that's what, to me, that was the easy decision for Team Canada versus Bedard, who, again, I don't watch play nightly, but the few games that I've seen, a little bit more of a, offensive player.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think Macklin's overall game, I think, made that decision for Team Canada very easy because he's a Swiss Army you can throw anywhere, I think.
Oh, Macklin's just growth into eventually captain of the Sharks, just like he's marched his way into the Olympics. I think he's marching his way into captaincy, and we've all sort of
like next year, right?
Like next year, like
right.
what
No,
Dan said.
I was not a fan of next year, but he's making it.
He's changing our minds.
Yeah,
it's unreal.
He's changing my mind. I'm still not quite there yet. There's no doubt he's going to be the captain. But yeah, he's making it pretty hard to argue that he won't be next year. But
since the last time we did the pod, I think the newest badge he got is getting stitched up and coming back in game time. Like he just keeps getting like another, like a Boy Scout, like another badge of leadership. You know what I mean? And this one is like got stitched up, puck in the eye. Like, let's get back out there. Like,
always stick taps his teammates when they fuck up.
Yeah,
returns in games after getting hit by a puck.
Yeah, he's just getting through it.
And did I see that right? The last game, did he stay on for like the first 2.5 minutes of overtime?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which normally coaches don't like that, but like if I'm the coach, I'm like, stay on as long as you want, bro. You want to stay on 3 minutes?
Yeah, and I can tell you actually,
it was
the
insane.
Vegas game where they got routed 7-2. But I noticed though that in the second period, that Macklin he would basically double shift himself and take other people's shifts because, and I watched it. I was really curious about that. But I realized that I was fairly certain of my guess that it's just because he's that fucking good, that he's so good at this point that the coaching staff gives him that license to decide, like, we're trying to come back. I'm kind of filling it on the ice. Let me stay on another 30 seconds. And I asked Ryan Warsawski afterwards, and not after that game, but like after the break. And Warsawski said, yeah, actually, we obviously don't want him on for 2-minute shifts usually. Right. And, there's a balance to it. He's got to be careful about it too.
Yeah.
But that he has that license though.
That's
because
good.
He's Macklin fucking
it took me probably 6 years to get it. But like when I got to that point in Tampa and San Jose, like, you battle. Obviously, you don't want to like cheat your teammates out of ice time and stuff, and you don't want to come across as selfish. But sometimes, especially if we were down a goal or two,
right?
I'm staying out there. And with the power play, for example, if I wanted to stay out there all 2 minutes, like I don't think any Todd or Torts or anyone would have cared because I was pretty good at what I did. So if I'm the coach and Macklin, but I could swear in overtime last night or yesterday, I guess. I could swear he stayed on for the first 2.5 minutes.
He double shifted. He kept himself out there.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
So again, that's one of those. Yeah. That's one of those. Obviously, if he gets caught, you're like, really, Macklin? But I stay on, dude. Like, there's no. Yeah. You know what I mean? So.
And that's honestly one of the things that he's learning, right? He is still just 19. He throws that pizza up the middle of the ice, and that's something that he'll learn from too. Mm-hmm. And he's gonna learn how to manage. Like, okay, maybe I shouldn't have stayed on this time. Okay, maybe I should have stayed on that time. And, he's going to figure all that out. And he's going to get better, which is,
I feel like he's
insane.
Already figured a lot of that out. In terms of managing ice time.
You're right.
Like, he's already,
you're right.
He's not getting caught. Like, he's out there battling at the last 10 seconds of his 2-minute shift.
Yeah. I think as a player, you know how your game's going. Some nights you're going to be feeling it. And those are the nights, take advantage of it. Take the 2-minute shift all day. And if it's a night where you're just fighting the puck for whatever reason, that's kind of one of those where you're like, you just have to be like, okay, it's not my night. Obviously you're still going to work hard. You're still going to contribute. You're still going to give it your all. But maybe that's one of those nights where you're like, okay, I this is probably one of those nights where I don't take the 2-minute shift.
Yeah. I just mean that it's going to catch up in the sense of like it does with like Askarov and Nedeljkovic, where they actually are both very good puck handlers, right? But they're going to make some like ugly mistakes here and there.
Yeah,
dude. It just happens,
I love that ASCII game. Like, again, just like Celebrini after that giveaway, dude, he shut it down. It was unreal. To dial it back in and focus the way Askarov did after that giveaway.
I want to talk about that a little bit, because I talked with him about that actually before the Anaheim game.
So we'll get to that then. Let's because I have some questions for Dan about just related to getting an understanding of, Macklin's experience as well, and Dan, Olympic gold medal winner, Dan Boyle, let's go. So, what I want to talk to you about that experience. Like, what an incredible thing, what an incredible time. And just to start with, what was it like when you got that call? And, like, were you expecting it? Like, take us back to that moment.
So my story is very unique because rewind to 2006, I was in Tampa, and again, it's hard to not speak about yourself without coming across as arrogant, and but I was one of the best players in the NHL, and I thought in 2006 I should have been on that team. The Olympics were in Torino. I think I was second or third in defenseman points in the league, first in ice time. So I thought, I should have made that team, but they ended up picking the exact same team that won the World Cup in 2004. So I did get a call, and it was from Wayne Gretzky, which was, by the way, was weird.
Cool. Okay.
Wow.
And
no big deal.
And I'm pretty sure now I've had concussions and it's foggy, but I remember getting a call and it's Wayne Gretzky, and I went, "Shut the fuck up," or something like that. And he was, which I'm sure he's heard many times, and he was like, "No, it is." And hey. And so he said, I have good news and bad news. He said, the good news is we've selected you to Team Canada. The bad news is, you're going to be on our taxi squad, which is, it was in Torino, and they have to take extra players that are just there in case there's injuries. And so I hung up, and I was very disappointed, and I wasn't going to go. My ego was hurt, but my dad was like, "You got to go. Like, you have to go.
Yeah.
Suck it up. You got to go." So I went. The team did terribly. They
also passed over Sidney Crosby too famously.
So anywho, the team didn't go well.
Yeah.
Did do well. So it was tough to watch, and it was a tough year. So now fast forward to 2010, again, kind of one of the best defensemen in the league, and I was kind of like, they have to pick me, but I was like, so I had a little bit. So when I did get the call, and I think it was Bob Mickelson, I remember seeing a number and picking it up, and he said, "Dan," he said, so, again, not verbatim or word for word, but it was something like, "You're on the team and you are going to fucking play this year," or something like that. So I was
Nice.
I was semi expecting it because of how well I was playing and stuff like that. But there was a part of me that's been like, hey, I went undrafted. Like I didn't get on the 2006 team. So I was almost preparing for the worst, if you will, hoping for the best. And, but yeah, once I got the call, like thrilled, obviously, as far as making teams, that might be the hardest team to make,
It is. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So I was thrilled, and it was in Vancouver, obviously, which was amazing for us Canadian players to play the Olympics in our home country. And so when I got the call, I'm sure Macklin was probably I don't know if he would ever admit it. He was probably semi expecting it, obviously, but obviously being 19 and being one of those bubble players that we weren't sure that was going to make it, he may have had a little bit of hesitation, but he must have been pretty thrilled.
Do you know why you didn't? In years intervening, have you heard why you didn't make the 2006 team, or do you have? They
literally picked, so similar to like the Four Nations team that just won.
Mm-hmm.
They had won in the World Cup in 2004. I think it was in Montreal. You'd have to look back, but so they
Toronto, Montreal, I think. Yeah.
They took the exact same roster. And so what I think that they kind of messed up on. They took a lot of great players, but it was in Torino. It was a bigger ice surface. So obviously, Niedermeyer and some of these guys, no problem. But, like Adam Foote was, 2 years older, not, Robbie Blake, who I love, Hall of Famer, it was 2 years older and stuff. So it just, it didn't go as well. And then I think McCabe is the one that made the team ahead of me. And he was a Toronto guy, had a ton of media.
Yeah.
He was having a great year, and I was a guy in Tampa that no one really knew about. So I think they went with
exposure.
Hard to say. I mean, they can explain, but I think they wanted to get the exact same team they went in with in 2004. Okay. But that was a mistake.
Was Robin?
I think,
was Robin Regier on that team too, Dan?
No.
Okay.
No. They picked the two guys that were kind of new. They picked Bomeister and the guy that I just mentioned as the seventh, McCabe.
Okay.
So In hindsight, they made the wrong decision, but
I like how you call the guys like, that guy was a little bit older too. Like, fuck that guy. And fuck this Toronto guy too.
you know what it was? I'm just saying 2 years older, but the bigger ice surface for guys like that don't move as well, was a problem. It became a
real
problem.
thing, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You would know better than me what the dimensions of the international ice were. I don't know how many extra feet.
They might be like 2 feet shorter, right? There was like a whole controversy on it.
No.
But like general European ice. International.
Back then, you know, and so that extra 4, 5, 6 feet or whatever it is everywhere changes the game, you know, quite a bit.
So Dan, so the next thing I wanted to say is like, and welcome Keegan, buddy. We're just getting into Dan's Olympic experience in relation to Macklin's.
Awesome.
The Macklin Celebrini, many minutes about Macklin Celebrini, sponsored by Bring Hockey Back.
Oh,
And Frost Cupcakes.
Keegan, in case you didn't hear, Macklin was named to the Canadian
I heard
Olympic
about
team.
that.
I'm not sure if you heard or not.
The Sharks have
By
a
telegram.
very good player. His name is
Macklin Celebrini.
By carrier pigeon.
Yes, by carrier pigeon. They finally found me horse and buggy, and they said Macklin's on Team Canada. I said, all right.
Horse and buggy.
You know what? That makes sense.
So Dan, like, talk us through what the preparation looks like. So now you're selected.
Yeah.
And when did you find out versus when the games were? How much of a gap did you have?
I'm only, again, foggy memory, but I would assume it was about the same. So you only get a couple months of notice, I guess. You know?
So then what happens? Like, how does that preparation look like? How do you like get ready for the games?
I remember there was a camp the summer before, and they invite a bunch of guys. So I don't know if they did it this time around or not. I don't think they did.
They did in the summer. They invited like 40 or so. Macklin was one of them.
Yeah.
To, like,
so you go,
orientation
you go, and I remember because of insurance, and they didn't want anyone to get hurt. We played, like, we went not on our skates, like a ball hockey. It was more
shinny?
about. Well, it was more about learning the system, right? So we went out with a ball and
That's different, I think.
NHL shinny.
and it was more about, like, again, we're all
NHL broom ball.
yeah, we're all pretty good NHL players, but it's like we're going to do the 1-2-2 or 2, you know. So it was more about positioning.
Okay.
You know, you do your in class, like, this is what we're going to do. They show clips of what you're going to do. So they prepare you, even though a lot of those guys aren't going to make the team. And then that way, when you get selected, when you get to the Olympics, you only have a few days of practice. So you're hitting the ground running. So you just got to know, you know, what the breakout looks like, what they want on the forecheck, your power play setup. So it's very, very quick. And if I remember correctly, within less than a week, you're playing your first game. So I remember with us, obviously, round robin, you know, I don't think we got off to a great start. We lost to the U.S., but we were still kind of like, it's hard because you have so many players that are used to playing a ton of minutes on their team. They're the top guys. And then you get to an Olympic team, all of a sudden, guys that are playing 22, 23 minutes a night have to settle for 9 minutes or 10 minutes. And it's kind of different. It's hard. It's hard to adjust to not playing as much. Maybe you're always on the power play. All of a sudden you're not anymore. So there was a little bit of an adjustment period. And then, so it happens very, very quickly.
And then what is, like, while you're in the games, what does, like, the day-to-day look like? Like, are you guys going out together for meals? Is it like,
what's
that look like?
We were in Vancouver, so it's not like,
Oh, yeah.
I remember in Italy, even though I was an extra, there was a little more freedom because, you know, but in Canada, we were on lockdown. Like, where we stayed was locked down. We had a bus taking us to the practice arena with, like, cop cars and, like it was, we didn't get to go see any other events. It was complete lockdown. So you're in the village, you got your pre-games together, you got your lunches and dinners together. But you don't get to experience, or we didn't get to experience the Olympics as freely as other athletes may.
Well, Dan, I got to ask you, because you hear all these stories about the Olympic Village just being, like, basically, like,
Yeah,
orgies or something.
So yeah, we even in Torino, you know, I didn't get to see that, and certainly in Vancouver we didn't. We had our own hockey team, had their own building. We were separated from the rest of the other athletes, so it was probably not the overall experience that other athletes get. And what happens is the early the stories are it's the early hockey goes all the way to the very end, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas certain events are done on day 2 or 3.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then those are the ones getting fucked up.
Yeah.
Banging, doing all the stuff. Whereas,
right.
as the late, the ones, the events that end at the end, you can't be getting fucked up. 2 or 3, 4 days in when you have another week to go. So,
imagine you guys get caught partying.
Well,
in
that's
Canada,
the thing, right?
And then lose. Yeah. You guys would be crucified.
We're done. Yeah, we're done. So,
done, dude.
So there was no partying until the last game, the gold medal game. And then, I remember being in the locker room for hours after. I'm pretty sure the prime minister came in at some point, and then
Who was the prime minister back then? Harper?
It wasn't Trudeau. It might have been Harper. I think it might have been Harper. I could be wrong. I don't remember. And then we had a VIP area with all the families and all that. So you get buckled after that. But that was probably the only night of partying that I remember at the Olympics. I don't think I touched alcohol until after the gold medal game.
Are you wearing your medal the whole time?
No shirt, medal on? No.
Just
Zubair, to be honest with you, I remember getting it around, when they present it to you on the ice. Yeah. I cannot for the life of me remember if I still had it. Did they take them away from us and then I have no idea. No clue.
Okay,
sounds like a great time
to show it to us in the next month or so. We'll like to
I'll bring it out. Yeah, I don't remember. I would like to think that I had it, but I have no idea.
Dan, do you have any initial thoughts about Keegan brought it up, like the rink size, right? And so the rink size is going to be...
This one's going to be shorter, right?
Yeah, shorter.
It's going to be
That's
shorter,
insane.
3 feet shorter. So the width is about the same as the NHL. Yeah, it's about the same as NHL, but it's going to be 3 feet shorter. So from the goal line to goal line. So,
yeah, I think. Anyway. I see it. I don't see it. Bigger ice surface advantage to teams that are more freewheeling, can skate a little bit more. But as you shrink the ice, it favors your USA, your Canada, the more physical, dominant teams. And I think if anything, it'll probably, not to take away from, Sweden's, it's pretty solid too. But some of the teams that are just more about not as physical historically as Finland and stuff, I think that's going to maybe hurt them a little bit.
Yeah. Does anybody know if they're having a Russian team, like the IOC, or what do they call it, where the affiliated athletes with Russia, sometimes they're able to compete, but I don't know if they're doing a Russian team.
No, I don't think for this one. No, I don't think they're in this one. Yeah, because otherwise we'd be hearing about.
They're still on timeout. Russia's still on timeout.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
How long are they on timeout for?
They got a major.
Got a major. Got a game misconduct.
Yeah, they have a five-year major, Dan. So.
The other thing that I wanted to ask you Dan, is that you hear a lot about the NHL's concerns with injuries, and you mentioned it too, like the insurance thing. Did you find it to be a harder season that year when you had to go and then go back to playing?
You're testing my memory. I do remember it might have been before Torino or at some point it was going to cost us. For 2 weeks, it was going to cost, and people are going to say, "Well, fuck, you make millions, who cares?" But it was going to cost us $30,000 or $40,000 out of our own pocket to play in the Olympics, and I think that's when it might have been before 2006. I remember that being a problem, and then the Canadian government was going to help and all that, but you got to insure players' salaries. And I remember my agent you look at insurance companies and you try to get your own. You insure your contract. So if you have $20 million left on your deal, you go and get a 2-week insurance policy individually to cover, so you end up paying whatever it is, $12,000-$15,000 in case you get hurt. So again, very fuzzy. That's a long time ago. I don't remember. I feel like the Canadian government took a little bit, but that's always an issue. You got hundreds of millions of dollars, billion if you use all the guys skating around. So you have to insure it. So that was a problem. I'm not sure what they're doing about it for these upcoming Olympics.
So, Dan, if you got some advice for Macklin and first Olympics, what would you say?
Well, I remember. Again, it's like you walk in. He's gonna as good as he is, and he's probably at this point when he walks into the San Jose locker room, he's the man, right? But no matter how good he is, and he's young, he's gonna walk into the locker room. He's gonna have Sidney Crosby and Connor McDavid and all these like freaking guys that he watched growing up. So there is an element of like you're a little starstruck, if you will, and then. What I think happens to a lot of us is, as players, we are unselfish, I think, for the most part. Your really good hockey players are unselfish players in the sense that, like, they're team-first guys. They want to win. And so you go out there, and sometimes, and that it's not that, how do I say this properly? Like, you don't want to, like, hold on to the puck sometimes where you would normally do it in San Jose because you have Sidney Crosby. So you're trying to like give the puck to him. So you tend to play a little bit different because you're trying to respect the players that you're with. You're trying to respect, you come off the ice a little earlier. Macklin's not going to stay on for 2 minutes on Olympic team because, he's got fucking McDavid and McKinnon ready to go. So if anything,
sorry, Connor, I got this.
You know what I mean? So if anything, maybe he takes a 35-second shift or 40-second shift to get off the ice.
Hilarious.
So you kind of like, that's the hard part. So my advice to him would be like, as much as he can, play your game. That's a hard thing to do because you don't want to be selfish in an Olympic team when you have superstars, guys you looked up to. So try to find your game, even though you're playing with some studs that are doing the same.
All right, so one last question, Dan. Who was that? Was there someone on that Olympic team that you were starstruck by?
I wasn't. Niedermeyer was a player that I grew up. He wasn't my favorite defenseman, but he was the one that I kind of like. I loved watching and stuff. At that point, I wasn't a 19-year-old. You know what I mean? I was. God, I must have been in my late 20s. So I was a little bit of a seasoned vet at that point. But no, I remember being a little, and Sid. I remember this might be it. Well, actually, no, you guys say you like this kind of shit. So on the power play, I became you guys call it the bumper position.
Yeah.
So I'm a righty, and I remember just try to think with me here. If I'm a righty and the play's on the left side and he gives it to me on my forehand, I got to like open up to shoot. So it takes almost a half a second to open up as a righty. If it's a lefty,
not ideal for a one-time,
lefty can one time. Yeah. A righty has to catch it, corral it, turn, and shoot. So what I did, I've always thought about this play, but I never did it on my teams. I turned the other way. So now I'm a righty. Pucks, stay with me. I'm facing my goalie. Okay, so I'm facing, but I'm showing him. I'm facing my goalie. I showed Sid my backhand on the power play in the bumper, and he fucking gave me the puck, and it was amazing because I had done it before on my other teams, but like when I said I didn't do, I had never worked. Like no one had ever given me the puck. Yeah, and I'm facing my own thing, and he gave it to me on my. And this is getting technical here, but he gives me a pass, and I get it. And as a righty, I can right here. I didn't score anything. But I just remember shit like that being like, "That's fucking awesome."
That's awesome.
I'm playing with,
that's just like next level.
I wasn't starstruck, but I was kind of like, "I'm gonna try this," and he fucking gave it to me. Yeah, it was just fucking awesome.
That's so rad.
Yeah,
so
there's
a lot of trust. Backhanded a one-timer, basically.
No, not. I didn't. I didn't.
And then shoot.
I mean, again, I can't. I caught it on my backhand, but then you move your blade over, and you could shoot it right away.
quicker shot.
It's quicker. It's quicker than if you go the other way. You would have to.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Turn around.
So, and then you got to cradle it.
So yeah. So here I am. I'm in the bumper position. I'm facing my goalie, showing him my backhand. I got my back to the net, but I know where the net is. He gives it to me, and then. Anyways, I remember that play being like, not starstruck, but like that's fucking awesome, and that's Sid, just being fucking awesome.
Well, there's two things that I think are so great about that play is like, number one, the amount of trust, right? Because it's harder to catch a pass.
It is.
And he's like, hey, I know Boilers could do this. Like, and then he's reading your body language because you're telling him.
I'm showing him where I want it.
You're showing him.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you look at the opposing D, if I'm showing the opposing D the high tip or my forehand, he can get a stick in there. If I turn my body around, he can't intercept that.
He doesn't know what you're going to do.
He cannot intercept that pass unless he gets himself way out of position. So it's probably the only time I think. There might be one that I'm forgetting, but I think it's the only time I tried that, got it, and shot. So so I loved it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I was looking at to your point, just the ridiculous talent on that Canadian squad. It is insane. Just some of the best players in the history of the game are all.
So this is me. This is going to turn into me tooting my own horn for an hour, but like recently, meaning like the last 4 or 5 months ago.
Sponsored by Fresh Cupcakes.
Actually, you know what? He's a DevCon guy, which we're going to hit up. Mr. Andy Schatzman, if he's listening, shout out. You're going to have to pay us some money. He sent me a copy of the gold medal ice time sheet. And I would have never guessed this. You got Scott Niedermayer. You got Pronger. You got Shea Weber. God, who else was on there? Dowdy. The whole team. Sidney Crosby. The top 2 ice time players were Chris Pronger and Dan Boyle. It blew my fucking mind. And then in overtime, I didn't even remember playing in overtime. I had the most minutes in overtime. It was only like 3 minutes, but I had most minutes of the whole team in overtime. I'm like, what? That's crazy to me.
Oh, crazy connection story, actually. The Sharks' current 22, Vincent Iorio, he was at the gold medal game. He was like in the last row, he said, at the gold medal game. Yeah.
So in overtime, I played 3 minutes, and 12 seconds. But
dang.
And were you just like so present that you don't remember it? Like you were
2 minutes and 46 seconds. But
Where you were just there, like you weren't thinking, you were just. So
I didn't even remember. I didn't even remember like if I played in overtime. I didn't even remember. I would have never.
Crazy.
If you like,
that's awesome.
Gun to my head, like who are the top 5 got ice time getters on the Canadian team? I would have never put myself in the top 5. And it was Pronger 1, me 2, and I have it here in front of me. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's just I was like, that's fucking awesome, dude.
That's amazing.
But
so cool.
But I mean, you look at Sid played. So Sid played 16 minutes. Best player in the world, who probably plays 22, 23, 24 minutes a night sometimes. He's playing 16 minutes. And it's just so guys have to like adjust to
Who was the most used forward in that game?
I have it.
Played the most minutes.
I have it right here. So it was probably Sid.
Well, you said 16 though. So
16. There's a couple 17s here. Oh no.
Yeah.
Jonathan Toews had 17 minutes and 19 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, Pronger was 23-35 as number 1, and some dumbass named Dan Boyle had 22-18.
That's awesome.
So I don't know. I thought that was pretty cool because I was like, I would have never guessed that in a million years.
That's awesome. Well, we're definitely going to have a lot more Olympic talk in the next month or so. So we have some fun Olympic guests coming too. So we'll keep talking about Dan's experience too. So that's just again amazing for Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah,
and
awesome.
We're gonna be all about that, but. Right now, though, I wanted to kind of talk about the Sharks and where they're at right now. And they're on a 3-game winning streak here. They are solidly actually in the playoffs in a sense of having the first wild card spot. And I got to look it up, but it's been a long time since they've been that high up in the standings. I know it's just 7th place, but like usually they've been like when they've held on, it's been like 8th place, last spot. That was a lot of 21-22 the last time the Sharks were in this spot. But so I call this the Randy Hahn line now. So the Sharks are at a 3-game winning streak. They are 20-17-3. They, like I said, have the top wildcard spot. So has anyone changed their mind? Has anyone crossing the Randy Hahn line? And
well, hey, I brought up the Randy Hahn line last week.
Crossing
and
the
said,
Randy Hahn line.
He said we're going to go through some lulls of losing streaks.
Yeah.
And on that, there was like a...
Answer the question, though. Do you think they're making it? I still will say no. So I'm still sticking with it. But I want to see if anyone's crossed over yet.
All right, so I have to share something here as a Sharks fan. And what I want to say is, like, I've been probably the hardest on the team in terms of what they would do this season during the offseason. Like, I love the way this team is going, but I can say clearly I didn't expect... I knew Macklin would be here. I didn't expect it this timeline. I knew the Sharks would be here. I didn't expect it this timeline. And I was clear about that. But a part of that I've been thinking about is like, I'm also just so jaded as a Sharks fan. Like you put yourself in a position where emotionally you don't get upset, you know? Like I don't want to believe and then get let down. So I'm very careful with my predictions and what I think. And I know it's a long process. A rebuild's a long process. But this team every week is making me believe a little more. And in Randy's voice, he's in my head.
Crossed the line.
But I think a part of it is I'm just so scared to get hurt.
Wow, this motherfucker needs a hug.
You know, like, I don't want to be let down.
You can believe. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
right?
You can believe. I haven't crossed it.
You're not believing in the Sharks. You're believing in Macklin.
You're doing it, Peter.
So, all right. Keegan, go ahead. Keegan, give us your thoughts, and then I'll give you mine.
Not there yet. I think that this is they're riding a lot of not hot streaks, but like a lot of players are playing just too good, and I don't and it's. I think they still need a lot more depth offensively, and their defense has got some holes that I think that eventually over a long season, plus the Olympics, I just think that they're going to get a little bit chopped up with their rhythm and probably miss. But it may not be by much, so closer than I thought they would be.
All right. At the risk of alienating some of the fans that listen to us and, you know, the ones that are going to be like, fuck you guys, I don't want to listen to you guys anymore. I agree with you. This is the way I look at it. I don't want this injuries, right? Injuries would happen. Let's assume we don't want to, but like if we remove Macklin for whatever reason, remove another player, remove Askarov or whatever, the depth just isn't there, I think, to get to the playoffs.
Sure.
And the good teams, even if you remove a McKinnon or Landeskog like Colorado did, or if somebody gets hurt in Edmonton or whatever, the good teams can find a way to get in the playoffs because of the depth.
Yeah,
I just
say 500. Yeah,
I just think right now obviously Will Smith's hurt. We got some injuries now, but with a pretty healthy lineup, we're flirting with 500. I think if unfortunately if we remove a couple of key pieces, I think that's where I think we fall out of the playoff race. So hopefully, if they stay healthy, I think they're going to be in the picture. They're going to be in the hunt. But I think we're probably, unfortunately, a little too thin depth-wise still at this point to feel secure about finding a playoff spot. But I would love for them to prove me wrong. Would love for that.
Well, you can feel the Honda Center, which had like a quarter Sharks fans a couple of nights ago when Macklin's got hit by the puck and went down.
Oh
in
yeah,
the face.
everybody gasped at the exact same time, right? Like,
yeah, the Sharks Nation, right there. But yeah, I mean that leads us then to this conversation. Then we've talked about this over the last couple of weeks too. But I think that this will be actually a weekly question, though. Have any of us crossed over the Randy Hahn line? Because, like Zubair said, I do believe more and more because they do keep overcoming these little adversities. Be it, we'll talk more about the last 3 games, but Askarov, shaking off bad goals and coming up clutch when he needs to be. Macklin throwing a pizza up the ice to Matt Zuccarello, and he comes back, and he was great after that. But so they obviously have a lot of big-time UFAs here. The main ones, I think, the ones that really stand out, Alex Wenberg, Mario Ferraro, John Klingberg. But you can also add Timothy Liljegren's had good games. Vinny Desharnais helped the penalty killing a lot. Actually, Alex Nedeljkovic, he's a UFA too, and Jeff Skinner and Nick Leddy. And so we've talked about this, I think maybe 2 weeks ago, where Dan says, "Hey, you gotta." So this is first to you, Dan. You talked a couple weeks ago about you looked at it from a GM's perspective, and is this team, going to get that far? Maybe not, and get what you can get for these guys. But I want to ask you, Dan, though, specifically, though, the value of playing in games that matter, playoff-like games, even if you don't make the playoffs, right? And for guys like Celebrini, for Chernyshov, for any Mukamadulin, any of those younger guys, right? And that's obviously more likely with Alex Wenberg and keeping these guys as long as you can. Yeah. So what is the value, though, playing these games that matter in your experience?
I think it's very valuable. I think it's easy games 60 to 80 when you're out of the playoffs to just go out there and freewheel and do whatever. It's when your freaking playoff position is on the line. How are you going to handle that pressure? And even Mario, who has been here forever, has never had the pressure of playing, at least in the last 5 or 6 years. What it's like to play meaningful hockey. I think it's very valuable learning experience. But if I'm the GM, I still think, and I can't. Mike has not said this to me. I still think they're focused on their game plan, which I think is still 2 or 3 years away. My buddy that's visiting me here is. He heard a rumor that the Sharks, and you guys can tell me if this is true or not, there's a rumor that the Sharks were going after Austin Matthews.
With speculation.
With a Misa going the other way. And I was like, no. I was like, no, that's
break the hockey world, I think.
No. I'm like, that's garbage. It's because he's... What's that?
A Sportsnet writer made that up, and he wasn't making it up in a vicious way. I think the article was, I think it's by Ryan Dixon. It's just like, what moves would you like to see?
Oh, it was more him just kind of...
it's just it's just a talking point.
Okay,
it's
gotcha.
Not
okay.
Founded in reality.
My point is, I still think that, this is the fact that the team's in a playoff spot right now, like you guys said, is ahead of schedule. I think it's even probably surprising. They would never admit this, but it's probably even surprising the GM and some of the people are like, oh shit. But I still think you don't give up assets of the future just to get in the playoffs and get bounced in the first round. I think Shark fans we all want a cup winning team here. So I think you stay the route, you keep, finding a few, you have your core group that's starting to develop here. You plug in a few holes for a couple of years, if you will, and then year 2028 or 2029, you're in a really, really good position. Maybe you sneak in the playoffs this year. Maybe you get in next year. You get a year or two of playoff experience, and then when Macklin's 22 or 23, I think you make a really fucking good run at it.
Dan, I got a question for you. So, is there ever been when you're on a team and you're in a good position for playoffs, you're batting for playoffs, how early does the prep start for the postseason? Are you already is a team ever been hey, we're in the first seed, let's just look at who we're going to be potentially playing? Does that start in season at all ever?
I'm trying to think, man. I mean, I think obviously you're trying to clinch a playoff berth. That's your first goal. Then if you can try to clinch home ice, that's your next goal. I don't know that you're worrying, and usually who you're playing with probably doesn't get determined until at least a couple weeks left in this season. Sometimes it could go down to the last week of the season. So no, I don't think that's something you think about. I think you're worried about yourself, meaning you're trying to get in, trying to get home ice, and then if you can anything above that, first overall throughout the course, you're obviously trying to get that. And then once you are, the last handful of games, if you're not necessarily playing for something, then I think the coaches, that's where they balance, like, maybe guys get the night off here and there, like the NFL teams will do this week, where you're kind of giving your guys, you don't want to create rust either, so you don't want to remove guys completely, but you're starting to think about health and I don't think, as far as opponents go, no. And then the coaches will fucking drown you with, like, I mean, I love hockey, I love playing, I played 18 years, but like the preparation that these coaches do for teams is fucking insane, man. Like, you walk in on day one of, like, it's just posters everywhere. The information they give you of the players you watch, I'm sure the face-off guys will watch. We went out with Zenon the other day or last week. Like,
Knoppers.
They're gonna watch like 3 hours of freaking face-off tape. You're gonna watch like 100 goals that are scored on the goalie, and the information is overload. So I think, to answer your question, and I'm sorry I've been talking so long, but you don't want that 2 weeks before the season ends to start already drilling guys about who they're playing.
Yeah.
They already give you way too much information as it is.
So the coaches are starting that, and then they
probably
piecemeal it to the
to the players. They probably do, but the last thing we need is 2 weeks to go in the season to get information on who we're playing against.
You also have a lot of pro scouts too, your area scouts, and they're already doing the work if they know who you're going to be facing. Yeah,
it's information. So. In my opinion, it's information overload, but whatever.
So we should give credit too, especially to, I think, Wennberg, Ferraro, and Klingberg, maybe especially, that with their kind of, this kind of transitory status that they're in, that they're playing some of the best hockey. Ferraro in his career, maybe even Wennberg in his career, and then Klingberg not the best hockey of his career, because that guy was a former Norris contender, but for a guy that basically hasn't played for 5 years on a regular basis, he's playing terrific hockey. Mm-hmm. But so I want to give credit, shout out to those guys. But Dan, I want to ask you though that related to all this too, like, what happens to the locker room though if you trade these players, right, and you're clearly not going for it? Or even you go to the trade deadline, you don't add anybody, and you're close and you don't add anybody. Like, have you ever had that experience where you're like, the room, your room that you're in was like, damn, like we should have added somebody, like, what the hell?
Well, I think players are realistic. If you have a winning, and I thankfully the 6 years I was a Shark, the last 2 years I was in New York, and I think 4 out of the 6 years I was in Tampa, we were legit cup contenders. So
you guys are always adding.
So we were always adding. Yeah. So I don't have the experience necessarily, but I think a GM will not only look at like on ice performance, but like if you were the locker room. I mean, it's a big thing. Like glue guys and stuff. Like, you don't want to remove guys that like play a part in the culture. And so I'm hoping with like Wennberg and some of these guys, and again, I don't know what their personal life situations are, but hopefully I'd like to think as a player, when you like it somewhere, the team's going in the right direction. You got Macklin Celebrini here. You're going to be a cup contender pretty fucking soon. Like, what's an extra $500,000? And I know I'm not trying to sound insensitive to like people in the real world that are struggling with their jobs and whatever, but like as a professional athlete, like if you love where you live, you love where you play, like Wennberg, I think is the one I'm thinking about. Like, is he going to get more money on the open market somewhere? Maybe, probably. But like, if you really like your position somewhere, you like where the team's going, and he's a good locker room guy and a good player, I think hopefully he sticks around. Whoever. I think you want to build this culture, and guys are, and on good teams, we had it in Tampa, we had it in San Jose. Guys are willing to take less to keep a team together to make a run for the cup. So that's what I'm hoping we see here.
And to your point, I think the Sharks organization has just done a fantastic job of keeping the vibes good, even when we were bad last year, and making sure that players feel like they want to stay. It's just, this is a vibe check thing, but I feel like the Sharks as an organization have done a good job of that. Like, all the guys seem to love it here and having a good time. And to your point, Jamie, talked about before, there's no reason not to love it here, but the organization has a big part of that outside of the city and in all that. Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys asked me in one of my first podcasts, like, how you decide where you want to be. Like, winning is very high up, if not first on the list. Then a little further down, you're going to talk about like your family and like quality of life. And like, again, we're going to have a winning team here within a couple of years. The quality of life here is pretty freaking amazing. The cost of living is high, but like, guys, everyone makes pretty decent money here. That to me, yeah. I don't like that. Someone that's going to go chase a few extra $1 million to go somewhere else to lose makes no sense to me. But I mean, we have a great thing here. The fans are amazing. That building,
they're coming back. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I just think you create, and that's what I think the Sharks. That's what you have in Tampa now. You have that in Florida. They didn't have it for years, but
right.
You have a place, a destination place where this should be a destination place for players that want to play here. And again, I think the only thing missing the last 5 years was a good team. I wouldn't have, if I was a free agent 5 years ago, I would not have come to San Jose because there was no. But now, if you're a free agent 1-2 years from now, San Jose should be on your radar. You got
I think so.
One of the best players on the planet.
Boatloads of cap space as well.
Yep, cap
space. A
space,
lot of room. Yeah. They're patient. I think Mike's doing a great job. Yeah. Tom Holy, shout out. They're doing they're staying patient. I think that's the right thing.
I predict though that I think from kind of digging at it that the Sharks, I would predict, will be a little more aggressive moving out some of these guys than maybe we would like.
Really? Interesting.
That's. I've always thought I kind of pulled at it.
Unless you get that first round pick or that good prospect. Like,
right, maybe. Yeah.
What's the point in getting another second, another third, another fourth when you could try and make the playoffs? So
I agree.
It depends on how they do in the next couple weeks, honestly.
Yeah.
What I'm surprised we don't see in the NHL a lot more is guys like leaving, getting traded for something, and then signing back. I don't think you don't see it a ton where you're like, okay, Mario or Wenberg.
Granlund last year.
This team may or may not make the playoffs, but like we're gonna trade you somewhere. We're gonna get a second rounder and a third line winger or whatever, someone in the pipeline, and have some sort of a verbal agreement where like, you're coming back here. So
that's what the fans always say, but like you said, it doesn't.
It doesn't happen.
Why,
it doesn't.
Yeah, from your experience, why doesn't that happen?
It's a good question. The only thing I can think of is like maybe guys fall in love with the team they go to or they like move on, or maybe some players feel slighted that you're going to trade me and I'm going to come back to you. Like, what the fuck?
Well, like, let me ask you, Dan, like after the Sharks let you walk to the Rangers, let's say that they wanted you back after.
Yeah, no, I felt a little, I was unhappy with the way things kind of, so I had a little bit of that. I understand years later that like I was an older player. My last year was a concussion year. I don't blame them for it, but I definitely felt a little bit of a fuck you attitude. Like, you let me go after, one bad year because of concussion. But again, it made sense for them. But had they talked to me and said, at the deadline, we're going to trade you, but that wasn't the case because we were a playoff team. But I don't know. I'm surprised it doesn't happen more.
Let me advocate for Ferraro here, like, and I don't know this about Mario, but like just from what I've seen from the outside, like if I'm Mario and I've been such a good soldier all these years, and I've been playing first pairing minutes against the Connor McDavids of the world because I have no help, and my reputation has diminished because you've given me these like crazy ass minutes that you probably never should have given me. And now the team is good. And, there doesn't seem to be a lot of talk about, hey, not a reward, but hey, you've been a good soldier. You're great in the room. You've been an alternate captain for 4 years. Like, do you want to stay? I'd be a little pissed about that. I'd be like, like if you let me go, I don't know if I'm going to come back because chip, a little chip on his shoulder. And that's again, and I want to really preface that is me just if I was Mario Ferraro.
Yeah.
Just so I don't know.
So if I put my GM hat on for 30 seconds, why not? Let's use him as an example. Mario.
Yeah.
One-on-one. We fucking love you. You have been a soldier. You've been here fucking through the tough times. We fucking love you. We want you back here. I've got you right here on my board for next year as my number 2 or number 3 or number 4 or whatever. What are your thoughts, Mario, on getting traded to a Stanley Cup winning or Stanley Cup possibly winning team, going in that experience and then coming back as a UFA next year? Giving him the opportunity to go chase a cup somewhere. Why not?
But my point to that is that Mario's been in trade rumors every year.
Yeah.
And his name has been out there for every year for the last 2 or 3 years. There's been no kind of statement that hey, we're not trading this guy, none of that kind of stuff. So that's where you offer that now. It's well, what about the last couple of years where I could have used some.
No, I understand.
Pat back.
We talked about something before we got on this podcast about bro code. I think there needs to be more communication. I think between and again, it's easy now because I'm not in the GM's chair, but I've been a player. I always just talk to me, just let me know. And yes, as a player, when you're I was in the rumor mill once in a while, when a coach or a GM comes out and says we're not trading this guy or this is one of our guys, it's validating. It makes you feel really good. It makes you feel appreciated. When you don't, it's why aren't you shutting this down?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I think, and I remember my time in Tampa, when I got released or traded, just fucking talk to me. Be honest. If you guys are shopping me around, you're shopping me around. You're doing what's best for your team. That's fine. But why I got pissed in Tampa is because they were telling me that, no, we're not shopping you around. We're keeping you.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they were. So that's dishonest. That's lying. We're men. Just fucking tell me. And so I feel there can be more communication between management and players. At the end of the day, management's got to look out for the team and not the individual, which is. But I think as we're men, we have to understand that. And as long as you keep an open line of communication, but unfortunately, I think that's not the case for most people.
I was about to say, to be clear, that I don't think there's any there's no illusions with Mario. I think this would be my perception of things.
The other thing that I would say is this year's UFAs to be for the defense is really, really, really thin. Mario might be one of the top 3 UFA defenders.
Yeah,
so
he might be.
For Mario's perspective, he also is probably this might be my big contract, the one, right? He's on a 4-year.
Well, and that's where you can't fault a guy for. He's got to look out for his family. If this is his one shot at a home run, if somebody offers him a huge deal he can't turn down, I don't blame that player. The ones that I struggle with are the guys that are making $4, $5, $6, $7, $8 million a year for 10, 12 years, and then come UFA time, then they jump again. I'm you've been making a lot. But for a guy like Mario, who's been, well paid, but not if he gets a home run deal, then I wouldn't fault him for wanting to.
Yeah, and he might. That's the thing. That there's not a lot of UFAs this year on the defensive side. A lot of older guys like Brent Burns. Is he coming back again?
Yeah.
But John Carlson, Jacob Trouba. I was just looking through the list. There's just not a lot of young. He's one of the ones that's under 30 that's going to be available. So. Yeah. But love Mario. Hopefully he stays because I do think that the Sharks. It's kind of a good tying together of the different eras, Mario's been throughout all, like you guys said, this horrible time where they're losing every single game.
Yeah.
And now he's seeing them be a better game, and he's raising his own game. So I would love it back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I think the experience, we talked about this before too, and is do you trade one of these assets for more draft picks, or do you just get that playoff experience if they are on a run? Mm-hmm. And I think it's more and more, Sheng, to your question earlier, is that, it is deflating if the team trades them at this stage and you've worked so hard to get there. And they've worked very hard to get where they are. It's not been handed to them. They deserve where they are in the standings right now. This team has been working hard, and you've seen growth from a lot of, we talked about our unsung heroes last week. So I don't know. I think it would be deflating if I was on that team and you trade somebody and it's like, dude, we worked so hard to get here.
So,
Like,
okay, so as you're saying this, GM hat on again. You get a second or third rounder. Keegan's got all the statistics. He's our like beautiful mind guy. But like, how many third rounders are going to make in the NHL, and how many years is it going to take for them to be? It may take them 3, 4 years, 5 years to be. I don't think that's a good move. I think if your plan is 2 or 3 years away, a third, fourth line, fifth line pick, I think that's not worth anything. That's like a. You know what I mean? I don't think you give up a guy for something that's going to come to fruition in 4 or 5 years, unless you're on a total rebuild and you're like, I'm going to get some second, third rounders, and one of those will stick. But I don't think the Sharks, I don't think that's where they're at. I think they're 2 or 3 years away from competing. So a third round pick is to me, unless you're getting a first rounder, then that's something you got to consider. I think the focus is if Wenberg's the guy that's if you're gonna want and need in 2 or 3 years, I think that's the guy you identify. Unless you have someone else on another team that plays a similar role that you can get for less, you like them, you love them, and you get a pick as well. But third round pick, fourth round pick, fifth round pick, anything past that at this point, even though once in a while you will find a Pavelski, statistics show that that's not going to happen most of the time.
Yeah, no, I'm with, I think Keegan alluded to this earlier, that my mindset is you set a high price for your Wenbergs and Ferraros, and I would say a first round for those guys, and you may or may not get it, but then you live with them walking as a free agent if you don't get that high price. Because you don't really need seconds, especially thirds and lower. Second, hey, you can say Igor Chernyshov, he's a second round pick. But still, though, definitely thirds and below, you don't really need those that bad. And so if they just walk and you get nothing for them, because I also understand not signing Alex Wenberg and Mario Ferraro and John Klingberg to like a 5-year contract or to a longer contract.
No,
and if they can get that elsewhere, okay, then it's worth it to just, I think, for them just to be here this year and help this run out and help the guys out and be good leaders and good players. And then you let them go and it's fine, because unless you are going to get a first round pick for them, but if you don't get that, fine, let them go.
Or you go get Chernish, how do you pronounce it? Chernyshov. Or you go get one of those guys that's in the minors on another team right now. So he's already been drafted. Yeah. There's a guy that's probably been in the minors for a year and will be there for sure in 2 or 3 years. If you can get a couple minor leaguers that you identify as like 2 years from now, this guy's on my second line or this guy's on my third line, then you go get that. A pick, you just don't know. Obviously, these guys scout the minors. They are Chernyshov. I fucked up again. Say it one more time.
He was right.
Just say Igor.
Iggy.
Igor score more.
Iggy C. If you identify a guy you really like in the minors, like I remember when the Oilers let go of the 2 guys that went to the Blues. Holloway, is it Holloway?
Yeah. Holloway and Broberg.
Holloway, I saw in the minors. I remember I saw him in the minors playing against the CUDA, and I was like, this. I think he might have been a first rounder. I was like, this guy.
He was.
I was like, this guy's.
Like
I remember telling Tom Holy, like, I like this guy, that's kind of one of those guys that like he was in the minors. I would have been like, if you can trade a Mario for a Holloway, which I'm not saying Edmonton would have done it, but that's one of those guys you identify and you're like, fuck, this guy in 2 years could be my second line, on my second line, So Maybe that's kind of more realistic than a pick, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely crazy. They let him go for $2.2 million. They couldn't pay that price tag for him, which was
again
ridiculous.
It was in the minors, but I thought he was a men playing against boys. The couple games that I saw him.
Yeah, those are trades I'm okay with too. And actually, the Sharks did that recently, trading Zetterlund for Ostapchuk, because the Sharks identified Ostapchuk as a guy that will play. Yeah, somebody that will play, right? And so if you identify somebody for Wenberg, where whoever they identify, okay, he's not Wenberg good right now, but he might be in a couple of years, and he's going to be a player, then, and same with Ferraro, right? You identify somebody that will play for you and soon and help out. Because, again, we talked a lot about this. Macklin has dragged forward the timeline. We're not talking about 2-3 years from now, actually. We are actually, I think, talking about next year and building a team next year that can help Macklin get to the playoffs, be better, and help him get to the playoffs. And so if you identify a guy like that, an older player, then that makes perfect sense, too.
I like it.
Yeah, so I'm not saying you can't trade Wenberg, you can't trade Ferraro, but just that keep the prices high, though. You don't need mid-round picks anymore.
I agree.
Well, Dan, before you head off,
I do have to go.
Point. Yeah, I just want one last point was that I think there's more construction and planning here by Mike Grier and company than we oftentimes articulate. But we Sheng, you were there for the interview with Plotner, and he was like, no, Mike Grier told him this is the year we're moving forward. We're not going to be in the hunt for McKenna, and we're actually just seeing that plan play out. I think there's a lot more construction here where we're not getting enough credit, where it's going as planned very well.
I think before I go here, I think I told you guys this on one of the first podcasts. If you walked into Mike Grier's office right now, there's probably a board of 25, 26. I guarantee you there's one with a cabinet with a board on the inside that says 26, 27.
Yeah,
and maybe if you pull out another one, you're going to see 27, 28. I guarantee you that they have a projected roster for 27, 28 where they have Celebrini, Smith, Askarov, Mokmadula, they got, and there's some spots that they're going to fill in there, but I'm very quite certain that not only do they have this year's lineup, they will have next year's, and I'm pretty sure they have 2 years of the lineup for 2 years down the road somewhere in that office. It's already on some sort of board or something. So
yeah.
All right, guys, I got to get off. I got some friends in town, so happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, see you, bud.
See you, Dan.
Yeah, I wanted to continue on that point, too, that here's actually another fun story that I can tell. So after games, I walked down to the locker room, and I walked down the same way that Mike Grier and management staff usually walks down. And one day, if we ever get Mike on a podcast, you probably can ask him. But for years, I wouldn't say much to him after a game because, they just got their shit handed to them. What am I going to say to Mike Grier?
Yeah.
after they lose 5-2 to Columbus or whatever in the middle of December. But after one of these games this year, though, it was one of the games that Askarov basically won for the Sharks. But, we talk about that, give Mike Grier a lot of credit, and he does deserve it. But when the Sharks were 0-4-2 to start the season, it was I don't know if the plan is working. But when we get to November, though, and the Sharks are over 500, and after one of these games, I just good-natured, I just said to Mike, got to feel good when a plan's coming together.
Yeah.
And I think that is I got to give him credit, right? I had question marks. I didn't criticize the same things that a lot of fans did, like those Ostapchuk trade. You always liked Zubair. I've always liked it too.
Trade.
I've never had any issue with it.
Yeah.
I just thought that was more of a barometer to how good their scouting staff is, really, more than anything. Not that I liked the trade, but I had an open mind about it. And we're seeing this year that Ostapchuk's a player.
Yeah, he is a player.
We don't know how high he's going to be, but he's a player. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that part about just the plan coming together. I just thought that's a fun little.
That's great.
Yeah,
I love it. Yeah, he does get a lot of because even Askarov was a swing, right? It's not nothing to trade for somebody like that on. I mean, it was awesome trade, but it wasn't. It's still risky. He's trading assets that could have turned into something great. And the Zetterlund for Ostapchuk deal and a second, right? We're missing the second round pick too.
Yep.
Which I think was it Sahlin Wallenius that was the second, or maybe not.
No, it was McKinney, I think.
Oh, it was McKinney. Also great.
It's this year's pick. Yeah.
I love that
Also
trade from
pick.
day one.
But I didn't love it because I loved Zetterlund, but I understand that why they did it.
Yeah.
And what was I saying? But either way, he deserves credit for that, and then kind of not putting his foot in his mouth by he's always said signing a big free agent to a super long contract that's not pulling their weight. All the guys that he's picked up, have been, they may be high on their value, but they're really short deals. So
right.
he's got this kind of midterm team where it's you're transitioning over, and he doesn't have to carry a lot of weight. He doesn't have to carry the Carlson deal. He doesn't have to carry Hurdle. He doesn't have to carry Couture. He's kind of opened it up to do anything he wants to this team. So always been a fan.
Giving my credit at these steps and hurdles, right? Like the next hurdle's coming where he's going to have to now invest. He will have to sign one of these like top guys that the Sharks are at the point now where I think that you really consider them. You've got to give 6 or 7 years. And now you got to pick the right guy, because if you pick the wrong guy, you might get fired because of it. And obviously, when he's signed a guy for 6, 7 years, too, there's a lot of factors that have nothing to do with you. Injuries or whatever. You may pick the right guy, but he just, he falls off a cliff at 2 years into the contract, or he just gets hurt. And nothing to do with the guy you picked, right? But that's sort of the risk of being a GM. So I think that's the next phase that I'm really interested in to see if he can cross into, we talked on this podcast for years, like can Mike build? It's a hard job to break apart the team and to rebuild. It's hard, but it's the easiest part of all the hard things to do. I always said.
Sure.
And he did it. He did it, right? He traded Hurdle off for 2 first-round picks. He turned that into Askarov. All those kind of things that we liked. We always liked. But next step was, can he build a competitive team? And he's done that, right?
Yeah,
and credit to him for that. But the next step, though, after that is, can he
build a cup
take that next step into turning this team into a contender? And that's where he is going to have to take some risks. He's going to have to sign a guy for 5-6 years. And so we'll see if he can do that.
He's been very good to Keegan's point about not signing long-term contracts and being patient.
He's going to have to do that, though. Doug Wilson, you have to. You can't keep your players. You can't add to players.
I'm not refuting that part. What I'm saying is that, to Keegan's point, he's been very risk-averse. And there's a way to manage risk in the stages that he has very well, reducing cap, getting rid of long-term contracts, bringing in homegrown players that you can be very confident about, like obviously Macklin, now Askarov. You can give those guys term. And then I think that he's done a good job in those first phases mitigating risk so that he can actually, you don't have to be 100% on those people if you get an injury or something. You still have a good core that you could build around. And I think that, I agree with you. He will at a certain stage have to increase the amount of risk that the organization is taking. But that amount, percentage-wise, is significantly less because of the way he's constructing this rebuild. Which is that he is significantly, again, to Keegan's point about long-term contracts, like being adamant, like, no, not yet. We're not there. Why would I take on that risk at this stage? And I think that gives you more opportunity, like the Sharks' last run with Doug Wilson, where we had a great core, and Doug Wilson was taking risk, at the end of every season before playoffs, signing a Bill Guerin, signing whoever he could get, Brian Campbell, and trying to push and then taking on that risk and making the reward asset. But like, you got to get that core first, and he has not rushed it, and we all agree he's ahead of schedule. And I just think that he's done. There's so many moves that were questioned, and hindsight in time is the best indicator of really what the decision was. And you're letting these things, as you let time play out, you look at these things, and there's so much careful planning that this organization has done. That and you say, Sheng, that it's really easy to tear down. Yeah, true.
I said it's the easiest of the hard things to do. It's a very subtle, very
yeah. Very that's a different. Yeah. So, but even to that point, there's levels to doing that well. And one of the greatest things that Mike Grier does, and we're seeing it with, these reclamation projects where he takes these disgruntled assets and gives them opportunity on the teams to sort of build value in them. You've seen it with Easymont, Carlson, and even this season, like
Blackwood,
Jake
endless amounts. And then
Wallman, it's huge one.
And building value in the organization's pipeline almost out of nothing. And Granlund's, for a first round pick, which was basically like a cap dump by Pittsburgh, right? Like, that's insane. Like, if you look at it through a business perspective, it's absolutely, I don't see even the Blackhawks doing that, or other organizations on the same stage doing it as well as Mike Grier did it in the teardown phase.
Good comparison. I wonder. I haven't really thought about that in comparison, but
so even
But
within the easiest of the three, which I agree with, there's levels to doing it well that position yourself for the next stage. And I don't think there's another general manager that's done it in this phase of other organizations at the same stage as us do it as well as Mike Grier in terms of
I'm not sure.
building value.
I had to look up, but I mean, they do have, like you said, the Sharks do have standout guys. So, like you mentioned, Blackwood and Wallman. The one thing I do, this is one thing I wanted to bring up, that there is a very interesting rumor out there with the Sharks that goes contrary to everything the Sharks have done over the last 5 years. So, and it's from Elliot Friedman, so it's a legitimacy to it. But Elliot said on, I think a W fan radio show, it's a Sportsnet radio show, but he said that the Sharks are interested in Kiefer Sherwood. And Sherwood is a Canucks winger, 30-year-old UFA. He has 16 goals this year, but he had 9 in October, so he had a little bit of a hot streak. He had 19 last year, though, and so he's a little bit of a late bloomer. Because you look at his career track before that, he's been a guy, I think he's been on waivers and stuff like that. But anyway, so 30-year-old UFA. Elliott said that his opinion is that Sherwood's value is in the first, second round range. The Canucks may want a first and something else. The league may think of Sherwood as being more of a second round pick kind of player. But I just find it's fascinating that it doesn't surprise me that Sharks would check in on something like this because that's a good player and they could use good players, right? But just that, like, they're at a point where maybe you start to think about this, like, is this something that you go for or not? Because you haven't heard of the Sharks trying to add somebody in this age range and going to be a UFA in a long, long time, right? All their ads have been guys like, if it's going to be a UFA, it's just so they can trade them, later down the line and get something back. Or it's a younger guy that, okay, maybe this guy can grow with our team if it works out. Your Zadina types and whatever, right? So anyway, so I just found that fascinating that's out there. And I don't know what you guys think about it. I think that Mike Grier is still going to be, like you mentioned, like more on the risk averse side at this point. But though, it's just interesting that rumor is out there.
I think he's looking for because this wasn't, I think he, wasn't there also a rumor about another Canucks winger, Dakota Joshua, or did we make that rumor up? We might have made that rumor up.
No, you made that up. You're trying to wish cast Dakota Joshua onto the Sharks.
Nice.
But it's the same kind of thing. Like they're both, like they both play a very physical game, physical winger, a little bit older, kind of a late bloomer type. I think that's
a scoring touch. So.
And they found a scoring touch that, I mean, Sherwood hits everything, right? So I think that's kind of what he's looking for, to add into the middle six here is like a little bit more grit and a little bit more physicality, because we do have some, but most of our grit and physicality comes from Reeves and Goodrow, and that's kind of it.
Right.
There's a couple guys that can hit, but it's not like it's their main job. So maybe that's kind of why Elliott's mentioning it, is that there's a need for that, I think.
You might be more of a type that the Sharks are looking for, because I just can't imagine them giving Sherwood 5 years or something like that, right? That just seems insane. And why would you give up like a second round and below? I understand giving that up for even for a rental. Why not? Let's if you have a late second round. I don't know if they have a second. I think they do
have an extra one.
They do have a second rounder. Yeah. Who is it? Which the team?
It's Colorado from Blackwood.
Okay, yeah. So if Vancouver are willing to take that, a late second rounder,
that's going to be like
let's go
60 second, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's have some fun here, but. Like, I can't imagine him giving up a first rounder. Yeah. Or Vancouver fans, I've seen some of the tweets, like, they're talking about, like, can we get Quentin Musty? And
well, I don't think he's there
insane.
yet.
He's not. But just that it's even out there, though, that people are even talking about, just is sort of interesting to me. But yeah,
he's also like, Sherwood's also having like an anomaly of a season, similar to like what we did with some of our players, like what I was just talking about. Like Vancouver is definitely doing that with him. Like he's shooting at a 17% shooting percentage right now. Yeah. He averages 11. Throughout his career, he's playing.
That's why I mentioned 9 goals in October, because
he's playing 5 more minutes a night than his average in his career because of the opportunity in Vancouver. And so, like, a lot of it is like, this is just the NHL. Like, there's lots of great players. Dane talks about it all the time. Opportunity matters. So you're also gonna be overpaying, and I think there's gonna be contenders that would overpay for a Sherwood in a postseason run.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, to your point, Sheng, I think the Sharks are in the talks Do I see it happening with his age? And I don't know. Like, we do need a player like that, but we have profile players like that in the pipeline. You know, some of my favorites like Wetch, like, you know, so I don't think you trade for him at this stage at all. But to your point, I think why not inquire and see what that fetches you and see what they're asking.
Yeah.
Like, he does make your team better, right? Undeniably.
Yeah.
I think he makes the Sharks better. We're missing that profile player, like Keegan said, but yeah, at the right price.
Maybe that type, right? Because obviously, he liked Wetch type. Like, that sounds like a Mike Grier player, and the Sharks don't have kind of they don't have a top middle six prospect with that kind of physicality. You know, Chernyshov is physical, but not in that sense, right? He's just a big guy that takes up a lot of space, can't take him down. Celebrini is physical too, but not in that sense where they're initiating the, you know, like contact like that, right?
I've always wanted Halton to be that guy too, but he doesn't play that style. Sometimes he does, and when he did win the World Juniors and in juniors, he looks pretty dominant, but it's just very inconsistent. He doesn't hit that much.
Well, typically too, you need to skate well to do that too, and that's Halton, and that's, you know, kind of a drawback to his game. So.
Did you guys see that hit he had against the Rain last week?
I did not.
Yeah.
Dude, he had a nice hit, and then he just dropped the gloves immediately. Someone came after. Did you see it, Keegan?
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen it. I'll look it up, but that's what I mean.
Yeah. I'll send it to you.
There's definitely like something there with it. It's just it's got to be more consistent.
Yeah, that'd be every night.
If he lays out a big hit like that every once in a while, like, and he could forecheck and he's heavy and then get that shot off, like, he's like, we've talked about him quite a bit on this podcast, you know, mostly in the off season, but I don't know. He's been developing pretty well in the AHL right now. And I'm, again, another one of those things where I'm still a lot to show, but I'm seeing development from him every time I watch him. And that physicality is there, just inconsistent.
Yeah. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. I wonder if, like you said, Sheng, being an adder for the trade deadline is going to be crazy. Like, we're going to be actually in on rumors of players that we normally are selling. Hopefully, if they continue to keep winning. We'll see.
My friend actually sent me that rumor. I was like, I need to source this. I need to find an actual link. And so I made my buddies like it's not on his 32 Thoughts podcast. It's not. And so my buddy dug for it for me. My buddy Jamie Tran, he's actually a big Canucks fan, so he's my buddy from all the way back at UC Santa Barbara. But anyway, I was just like, I don't quite believe this. This doesn't quite make sense. Like the Sharks with a 30-year-old UFA. I need to find Elliot Friedman saying it with his mouth, his own words, and I finally found it. And so, or he found it for me. So, and I listened to it and I found it that way. So anyway, but it just, like I said, it's interesting that the Sharks are even a part of it. But I guess to maybe close off here, if we don't have anything else to say about the UFAs, just any thoughts about these last three games, this winning streak? I wanted to lead off with Chernyshov, myself, and obviously he's been so impressive. And one thing that, you know, because last week I talked about a lot of pushback I got from a NHL scout I talked to about, maybe he's more middle six. And what I realized talking with more scouts is part of it is because they just haven't seen a lot of Chernyshov.
Yeah. Because
if you look at an NHL scout's job, right, like they don't necessarily watch every Sharks or Barracuda game. They go to the games that they go to. And so they might have like 3 or 4 viewings of a player this season so far. And they form their impressions off of it. And so that could be why, like, that finish kind of thing that scout talked about. Maybe Chernyshov just didn't have good games in those stretches that he was there. So I just wonder about that, because obviously we're seeing Chernyshov with some pretty good finish right now. And so that's one thing that I wanted to bring up, that there is a little bit of, especially for a guy like a Chernyshov, where there isn't a lot of, he's only been playing pro hockey with the Barracuda, pro hockey North America for just like now like 30 games and like 3 games last year, right? Or whatever, 5 games last year, that they just haven't seen him enough. It's not like a Cardwell. You know, they watched Cardwell for years and years and years. And so, like, I think that a typical NHL scout sense of Cardwell is probably going to be very, very accurate, because even if they don't watch every single game, they've still watched, like, over the last 3 years, like 30 of them or something like that.
Yeah.
You know? So I just wanted to add that or mention that.
It also
but also
depends
too,
on that scout that you were talking to. Are they an amateur scout? Are they an NHL scout? Are they
Well, these are pro scouts. I'm
exactly.
asking about, and guys don't typically, to your point, they don't typically cross over. People don't know that, right? Or people don't, like.
They think you watch everybody, but you can't watch everybody.
No, you can't. Yeah, like, so they're going to hand off. Once Chernyshov leaves Saginaw, then it's going to be a different scout kind of watching him. And there are some guys who kind of cross over a little bit and watch a little bit of both. But that's not as typical. Because I thought about this because I wondered about that gap with that scout. And then I talked with another, totally different from the story that I put out, another NHL scout. And he just said, I asked about Chernyshov, and he just said, I don't know the player that well, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like, oh yeah, that actually makes sense, And so all he would say was that, like, I got to see him more. And actually, I wonder now, because maybe he's seen these recent games, so I wonder what he's thinking now. But he just said, like, he emphasized a really good piece, really good tools. He's definitely an NHL player, but I don't know who he is right now. I don't know who he's going to be.
Yeah.
Right. And so anyway, I just wanted to add that note. And anyway, let's talk about Chernyshov. He's doing great.
Yeah, I have a couple things that I've been noticing as we've been talking about him more, and I've been watching him for a while, from like the first training camp to his Saginaw time in the second half of the season last year, to Cuda. And I think what stood out to me in the most recent win streak, the 3-game win streak, and is what I've noticed that he's got more components to his game that I actually noticed more recently, specifically his awareness of what he can do at different levels. So when I saw him in training camp, I saw him go wide more often because the middle's closed off in the NHL. But, Keegan, you and I have talked about how in the OHL, he's like cutting to the middle, making moves in the triangle and the crease. And, that's awesome. But we're not seeing that game as much. And part of it was because we talked about last week. I think he's just like, let me play north-south, let me play simple until I can figure out how to get on the inside. And you're starting to see that confidence grow literally almost shift to shift right now. Awesome. But what I love about him is two things. Number one, his controlled entries. I keep thinking he's going to get singed on the wing by a defender, but he uses his body and his speed to actually get the puck deep and with control. And then the second component of that, which makes him really effective, is his board play. He's really strong in the boards. And that reminded me, because I keep thinking about the comp and what we talked about last week with your comp with Mark Stone. And we talked about kind of like, let's think about a different comp. So I was trying to think about this over the weekend. I was like, he kind of reminds me of actually like a Matthew Nyes a little bit.
That's a good one. Sure.
With his size, his board play, his ability to get the puck deep in a way that's not like a controlled entry like Celebrini and cut to the middle. Like he doesn't have that crossover ability with the skating to get into the middle, but he gets wide, gets it deep, and then is able to move to the puck to the middle like his helper last night. And he can move on both wings with speed with controlled entries, which I think is also effective. And I was like, and that's where I went with the point I was making last week of why I see him as a top 6 winger is very much that point. These guys are really good to play with top centers. What makes a really good winger is your ability to also make your center better. And a lot of that is you go dig the puck, you get the puck deep, and then you feed the middle. And he did that last night, and I started to think about a whole different type of a player of a comp for him. That's some of my thoughts on what I've been seeing last couple games.
I love it.
That pass to Celebrini for the goal, that was in Anaheim, or was that
was last night?
That was Vancouver. No, he did in Vancouver, too.
Yeah, he did in Vancouver. But I'm talking about specifically last night. Wide, draw 3 guys, find a lane, which was hard. I mean, also unreal that Celebrini knew to park himself there.
Yeah.
Like, if you rewatch that play, that is an unreal play.
There was one that stuck out to me too, was he got it off the boards and got it right to the middle. I think that was also a Celebrini goal. I don't remember which game this was, but it was just such a good, solid, bumps this guy off, immediately turns his body, gets the guy in the slot, and it's like, that's the exact player that we've been hoping for a Celebrini, is that his board play is very good. He's using his body, his frame so well, and then his net front play. Like I think once he starts to get the the real nastiness, the real like screening ability. Like he does some flash screens, and there was a few times when that's worked. But once he really gets that battle in front of the net, most of his goals are coming from him being that close to the net. And I really think that's the player he's going to turn into, is just this playmaker, good with his hands, but also can be a battler in that front and on the boards, and it's awesome. He's just kind of, every time that I've seen him, he just gets, like you said, he gets more and more comfortable, and it's great to see. It's like there was maybe a moment in the first couple games where it was like, okay, you're still learning, and like that was a mistake there. You went off too early. We talked about that, or like you didn't cover your guy on the cycle. But like he's just learning so quickly with Macklin that I really want him to stay on that line, and I wonder what they do, because everybody keeps asking, and that was actually one of the questions I got on Twitter at some point in the past week or so, was like, what do we do when like Smith comes back and Misa comes back? Like, what are we gonna do? I don't know, man. It doesn't matter. Chernishov's playing too well to move him. It doesn't really matter.
Want to go to the Zen and Konopka School of Face-Offs?
Yeah, right. So I don't know. I don't think it matters yet. Like, don't think that far ahead. Just be excited that one of these.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have.
It's a
great
Until
problem
he starts, not playing up to this standard. Like, he doesn't have to be this good, but like, if it's working, it's working. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, and to add to that too, hockey IQ, like his that game winner he had, his ability that Gaudette passed to him to move to that soft ice and open up, and then also the finish was unreal. Hockey IQ, and then an intangible I've noticed from him that I think is healthy for playing with Macklin, that it's just observational. His excitement when he scores. You have those goal scorers that like the Ovies. Like you could score 900, but you're acting like everyone's your first. Yeah. Right? Chernyshov has that, and you notice Macklin vibe off that, and he's just equally as excited. I think he needs a line mate that's intense in that way. I just feel like that's Macklin's energy. Like, Sheng, you've called it golden retriever energy.
That's good. Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah, and the cool part about the way that Chernyshov often shoots, like when he's that close up, is he picks that corner right above, or he picks the spot right above the pad, and he will change the angle and move it out to the side and just kind of plop it over. That's like his favorite shot. It's like just this little move out to the side and changes so the goalie can't stop it. He's done that a bunch of times in the CUDA. One of the goals that he scored recently was like that. So he's got some finishability. I know we talked about that last week too. It's like, what is he, a far range shooter just yet? I think that's still to develop.
But he did do that. One of his goals was like a shot from some range, right? And then the two of his other goals were the ones that he said he kind of like changed the perspective of the goalie. I think one guy you can learn from, shout out to Regenda, who when he's here, he looks good. And it's unfortunate, I would say. I watched Regenda and I think to myself, he had like a step more at 5-on-5, that he's an everyday NHLer. If he just had just a little bit more, maybe he can still get that. But he's not that old. I think he's like 25.
If Regenda played all of his game around like 3 feet from the net, I think he would be a good player. Like that's the thing.
Like Chernyshov could learn from that, right?
Exactly.
Like, if you can play like if you could be 75% of what Regenda is there, then that'd be, with his other tools, that'd be amazing. So. Yeah, I mean, I think Chernyshov also, too, which is kind of funny about this season, is that it's replicating the path of last season. In the sense of last season, Dev Camp, when I first saw him, I definitely was not impressed. But I never judge a guy too harshly over the one Dev Camp. He's whatever. He just came here, he got drafted, and we knew later that he was going to have shoulder surgery, so maybe he was hurt. So who knows, right? But because they had Macklin with Chernyshov, actually, that first Dev Camp, one of the scrimmages, or actually the prospect scrimmage game. I think that was his line mate, actually.
It was.
Yeah, right? But anyway, so then, Chernyshov has a shoulder surgery. He's around Sharks Ice last year, just kind of rehabbing on his own. We don't know what he is, kind of, right? So basically, slow start, and he goes to Saginaw, and he just like tears the head off of the OHL. Again, 55 points in 23 games. Those are just like video game numbers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Even ahead of like Michael Misa's pace, right? Michael Misa scored 134 points. Anyway, so this year, slow start with the Barracuda. I watched a couple games with the Barracuda. You guys did too. We also watched him in the preseason. He wasn't he wasn't like this. We didn't miss anything.
No, yeah, it just wasn't this good.
Like this in the first month of the season, but something happened. He figured something out with the pace or something like that. And he just started taking off, right? And now, just like he did last year with Saginaw, this is my point. He recalibrated expectations of him with what he did in Saginaw, because no one expected him to plop down, 2.3 points per game in OHL, right? And now he is granted just like, 8 games or something like that? But I don't think anyone expected him to jump up. And granted, he's playing with Macklin Celebrini, and let's not forget again, he is playing with. Well, we cannot diminish this. He is playing with one of the best players in the world.
Well, so hold on, I got to point to that. So because. Okay. So my perspective on what I saw from him in Dev Camp was the opposite. I actually went through my notes again. Mm-hmm. What I saw was extremely high-end skill, a lot of detail to his game. And to your point, Sheng, though, my notes were more positive on him during the drills than the actual scrimmages. You
mean the 2024 one, the first one, too?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah, amazing. And then even this year in the CUDA, I was actually very happy with his game. Mm-hmm. And this is kind of what the first point I was making is he adapts his game to who he plays with. But the pattern that you see is when he plays with high IQ players like a Misa or like a Celebrini, to your point, his hockey IQ, I still think is maybe his best attribute. And then maybe his physical toolkit. But he's got extremely high IQ. And then that's why he plays so well with high IQ players, which is why I see him, to one of my main points, as a top 6 winger. Yeah. He will play to the guys he's around, and when he plays with high IQ guys, his points go out of the roof, and he's kind of like that complementary player like a Nyes, where your IQ is kind of like underrated in a sense, because they're also going low, they're going to the boards, but they know when to feed it, they know how to win those battles, and they like that goal off Gaudette. Most players wouldn't have moved off the puck in that way once he had 100% control of that puck. Gaudette gets control of that puck just a couple of seconds before that pass. Yeah. He's cradling it in the boards, and as soon as he does, he slides from one side of the goalpost over to open ice, perfectly lays out his stick. That is you're watching the play, that is a high hockey IQ play. And that's what he does well. He feeds off high hockey IQ players very well. And that's where I think you'll see him always locked in with the Misa or a Celebrini if you want the most value out of him. He could play down the lineup, and that's what I saw with the CUDA. He was still putting up points. He was playing well. Yeah. But he's missing that player to play off of at that level, and that skill level. And so when you put him there, and that's why I expected him to do well. And I got to say, so I saw him always doing well. Even in the CUDA, I was like, damn, he's great. But I did not expect him to adapt his game to the NHL level, where he's not trying the things he would try in the NHL. Where you see a lot of guys be like, oh, like Musty, we see him trying things that observationally, we're like, this is not going to work in the NHL. And he's still doing that with the CUDA to a degree. Chernyshov wasn't. And I feel like in the NHL, he surprised me with how well he's adapted his game to be like, I'm not making those high-risk plays. You don't see him give up the puck much. Yeah. You see him come down low defensively. I'm just more and more impressed every game.
Well, can I then add on top of what you're saying then? Yeah. So if what you're seeing, and good on you for seeing it, if that's right, then we're talking about recalibrating expectations. Maybe he's a first-line winger. If he can play well off of a guy like a Celebrini, it even not doesn't be Celebrini level, but whoever you're with, and be that complementary piece. Who's telling Landeskog or Nyes they're not first-line players?
Yeah,
that's right? A good point. Landeskog in his prime,
100%.
By the way, so maybe that's part of the recalibration. Even the scouts that I talk with, who I trust, right? They're not feeding me crap information, but
no, of course not.
They saw a guy playing with no full respect to Colin White or to Philip Beested, not with Macklin Celebrini, and so they're okay, this guy is good, but he wasn't being accentuated. He didn't have somebody by that side. If he can just play that well with a guy, with play off a guy like a Celebrini, then there's immense value there. And so that's a real thing, and we are seeing that it may indeed be. Then,
and that's a great thing about him, though, is once Misa, let's say Misa works out as your number 2C for this organization long term. Still hope my wish this season, but I don't see that.
He might be committing Will Smith though for that 2C job. Is what we're
Yeah,
saying,
right.
though.
Yeah, that'd be great. But like,
That's
no,
a good
I still.
problem to have.
Well, Chernyshov could play left wing, and
Yeah,
you can have
he
Smith
can
on the
play.
right wing.
You can do that too.
So
yeah.
like that's fine. He's played left wing.
Actually, Willie Macklin has looked quite good on that line too. So
So this is the point. Also, why he might get moved down is Celebrini could he's that Joe Thornton type that you could put like a Nils Ekman.
We'll put anybody with them. Yeah.
Yeah, you go, and he will. Those players value.
Dan Boyle's wrong. I can score a goal with Macklin this year.
Yeah, put your stick out. You'll be fine. I think my biggest thing is he is like he's adapted to the speed of the NHL. I think it took a game or two, but he adapted so well to the speed that I honestly was like, I'm not worried anymore. Like that was my only concern is when I watched him in the Barracuda, there were times when I was like, I think there might be an issue with the speed, but hasn't been. Like he's been so good. He's getting faster every game, honestly. Like it's not like he's he looks good. No notes. I think again it's early, but he really should have 9 points in 7 games, not 8. I'm gonna keep saying that. I'm never giving up that.
Still
one
taking that
assist.
point to your grave.
Taking that 1 point. And like that's.
You're right.
I gotta run this one. Like in Vancouver, the own goal that I think Eklund got the own goal that went off of Rossi, and Macklin should have got another assist.
He did, yeah.
And Iorio, they didn't get it though because it was a direct. When it's a direct own goal, the way they roll it is that. But though, like that pressure was forced by Iorio and Celebrini, so they both should have got another assist.
Yep. It's rigged. But I'm not really worried. I honestly think like even if he has some struggles, and he will, he's gonna pull back at some point because that's how every rookie is.
Of course.
That I think he's gonna come and find his way back on into the top 6 for a long term. Yeah. I haven't there's nothing that suggests in his past, right? It's not like this guy didn't score 2.3 points in the OHL. It's not like he wasn't a projected first round pick. It just came to the second. So there's nothing that even from like a development perspective to say that he couldn't do this, and then he's doing it. So I think he's gonna do it.
As Zubair reminded us a lot. This kid's just 22, and so like it's not like he's like 23, like kind of near maybe the end of his runway of development. And the two things that stick out about him is, and I don't know if you guys agree, but typically when young players come up, especially maybe forwards or not, but young players, they come up, right? The two things that they have struggled with are the pace of the league and consistency. And so far, he's handled the pace more than well. And he's been pretty consistent. Everybody was bad against Vegas. He wasn't great. You can find plays that he isn't great on. Warsaw mentioned even against Anaheim, right? There's a couple plays that, hey, he's young. We don't love that, but he'll learn, right? But you would say that probably most of the games he's played up here, the 8 games, that he's been pretty good. And so those two things that you worry about with young players, like that hasn't that hasn't happened with him, and so it is.
So we need to
expectations.
We need to decide right now: is his name Iggy Pop? Is it Igor Scoremore? Or is it Igor Skorashov? I don't know. We gotta figure out a name here.
I don't know. I like a cherry top. That's what someone said.
Ooh,
that's good. It's good. It's a good rock song. I think that's Joan Jett and Runaways. So, but it's a good fucking song.
Yeah. Skull with the cherry on top. And what JD calls him the fireworks show. I think the fireworks factory.
Fireworks show. Okay.
That's I don't know why. I think it's back at his tweets. JD Young's tweets from when he watched him in Saginaw a lot. It was the fireworks factory. But yeah, Igor Skorashov.
It's a good opportunity to mention the San Jose Hockey Now Instagram, which has been doing well. Thanks for everybody who has followed us. Well, one of the pleasures of doing it is that I get to pick songs, and, with Instagram posts, and so that's why Cherry Top came up, because I think for one of his one of the photos from Dean Tate, San Jose Hockey Now photographer, another plug. But anyway. Chernyshov one I looked up. Well, I just looked up the first 4 initials of his name. Cherry Top came up. My favorite one was a couple days ago. I posted Macklin's kind of his flying goal against Anaheim from another San Jose Hockey Now photographer, Derek Bond, who also provided the caps that we're gonna give out. I know it's a month late there, guys, so sorry about that. But anyway, the song that I picked for that, perfect, was Sent Here for a Reason from the Man of Steel soundtrack.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I put Igor's theme to one of the posts of Igor from Tyler, the Creator, and then we were chatting, and I was like, do you know the song? He's like, yeah, of course. Awesome. I was like, let's go. Chernyshov. So, one more thing that I think we have to I don't know how we didn't talk about this yet, but the goal he scored going through the triangle one-on-one with Quinn Hughes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. And again, going back to the play, this is what I saw with his speed thing, too, because we talked about his speed, and I've always considered that an asset. I was like, this guy's fast, and he's quick. And so going back to the importance of watching him in different contexts, to your point, Keegan, in the CUDA, I don't think there's anyone that could have picked up the puck one-handed off the boards.
I saw that. It was insanity. I was like, that is the most, like, that was so clean. And I was like, it's more impressive than anything. It was so clean.
Celebrini one-handed off the boards.
And then turning.
Head up and turning. And then one movement. And guess what? If you watch the play, Chernyshov starts taking off.
Yeah.
When Celebrini's picking up the puck off the board, so he's at
so
full
good.
stride.
I love that.
So what happens as a player is you usually don't see him doing that because he's playing with people that are like, hey, they're going to pick up, they're going to pick their head up, make a play.
Yeah.
There's a couple of seconds, so he's timing, and that's the hockey IQ I'm talking about.
Yeah.
He plays to where he is to make make his game impactful to the guys he's playing with. When he's playing with Celebrini, he's actually stupid fast.
Yeah.
And only Quinn Hughes with his edge work was able to keep up with him, and he exposed him.
Yeah.
And he's a good, and Quinn Hughes is not, he's an incredible, I still think he doesn't get enough credit for his defensive style of play.
Yeah.
There's a reason why he played in where he played in Vancouver and played Connor McDavid how many times, but you never see clips of him getting exposed against Connor McDavid, right? Like, he's a good defenseman too.
Yeah.
And Chernyshov exposed him. That was a ridiculous goal.
I think he caught him. He caught him trying to turn around and like that in that awkward phase, and just was like, "Oh, I'm behind you," and that was awesome. I loved it.
Now you pick up on a great thing there, Zubair, because a lot of players talk about like, "Hey, I'm playing with Macklin. I know he's going to get me the puck." But Chernyshov is kind of like living that, like, I know he's gonna get me the puck. So
I'm taking off while he's facing the backwards, right? Like,
I know he's gonna make some silly play to get me the puck. Actually, I gotta look back. The pizza that Macklin throws, I think on a broadcast, Jamal Mayer said that, he's going for Eklund. Maybe he was because Eklund was closest to him. I actually think Macklin was going for a long stretch pass. And it probably was Chernyshov he was going for, and that's what he miscalculated.
Oh yeah,
I
don't know if it was Chernyshov, but it was I think it was Eklund that he was going for.
Well, no, Eklund was closer. Eklund was in the slot. Eklund would have been.
Yeah.
Eklund was the safe option, and that's what Jamal Mayer said. That I think that Eklund should have been there. I don't think Eklund should have. I don't put that on Eklund. But
what I read was neither.
Yeah,
I read him being tired, and the puck was bobbling. And he didn't try to cradle it and make a pass.
Yeah.
I thought he expected to get that puck high because the puck was on side. And
he fired it hard though, so it wasn't like a soft pass.
Yeah, it wasn't. He was like, get this out. You're low on energy. And that's what I read. He was just trying to get that puck over. And then it kind of, what happened is when the puck's up on its side, it just hits the blade and sometimes lays flat. And he hoped to chip it up, but it just laid flat right to the stick.
I think he was trying to make a play, though, because
he
had the safe option with Eklund, which he typically would have missed. Eklund was right in front of him. Eklund was pretty open, so that's a quick, that's a 20-foot pass.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Get it out of the zone at least. Maybe you don't do anything with it, but I saw someone ahead. I got to watch again, but I knowing Celebrini and with his connection with Chernyshov, I would bet that that's what they're going for. They're going for another highlight reel play there. But if we're done talking about Cherry Top.
I do want to say that you're like that. Like you said, that catch by Macklin on that I just want to say that again was something I haven't seen that. Like, it's something that he caught it, not just like settled the puck. He moved the puck one-handed. His right hand's on the top of the stick, and he moves and turns the puck.
Yeah.
one-handed, which like it's insane control at speed.
Yeah.
So I was super impressed with that, and then it was just the most pretty goal afterwards. So it's fun to see just skill.
It's so fun to see.
You got to watch Macklin live this year, because I know you watched him live like once or twice last year, but like
unreal.
It's another level. Like, and I mentioned this on the pod like in October, right? I literally just watch Macklin on shifts now just because I don't want to miss something that I've never seen before.
Exactly.
Or something that's just amazing, right? Because that's how good he is. And that's how, we knew on this podcast in October. And again, I gave Dan Boyle a lot of credit for this, because Dan, I think, was way even ahead of us, because Dan was calling him a top 5 player like 15 games into the season.
We were a couple games in,
But though, you could see, though, that they're just something that he's doing that, and he's, the consistency, as we talk about consistency, it wasn't just that first road trip to New York. He's been able to keep up that standard basically every night, and that's why the Sharks, a big part of why the Sharks are where they are. So anyway, I look forward to you getting to see him live soon.
So excited to see the evolution, I guess, because I did see him in college live, because I watched him on the Beanpot that one year as well.
Yeah.
But we drafted, I think we drafted Smith, and it was before Celebrini, and even then it was just like, this is the best player on the ice, and it's just now becoming, this is one of the best players in the NHL. So
in the world,
in the world. All right, I want to who else we shout out? Because I want to shout out.
I want to give Ostapchuk actually, and I want to talk Askarov too, and then we can also.
Yes.
But Ostapchuk, I've seen the last couple games. It's in my notes. I'm seeing more offense. It's not just the goal he scored, and not even the goal that was taken away.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think it was a high touch, but similar goals there. But he's doing a good job the last couple of games. When he has the opportunity, he's first in on the puck. He's making that centering pass, and those centering passes are connecting. I think both times it was to Gaudreau. I think one went wide, and one Gaudreau got a shot off, and it was a big stop there. These are the kind of plays, though, that if he can do that on a consistent basis, then this guy, again, with his defensive acumen, with his skating and his size, like, this is the player that Mike Grier and his scouting staff envisioned. And there's a hope, too, that if this grows, because he's still very young, that maybe he can become that third line center that they're hoping he grows into. But even as he is now, he's a valuable piece. And this player, exactly, with just, even if he just stays in the fourth line center, this is a playoff player. This is a player that teams are going to win with, I think. And so I just wanted to shout him out, because I've seen that the last couple games with him.
So I wanted to add on that, and also, like, Sheng, we've talked a lot about him. Like I said, I talked with Chirumendo with him during Dev Camp this year, and I was like, I really want him to make the team, and I actually think he will make the team. I just think that he's that kind of a player, and his track record speaks for itself. Like, his offense always comes later, and what I've seen lately from him has been he's been more physical. He's also been, to your point, getting the puck to the middle more frequently, but he's also been like showing some of his skill. He had a great catch pass where he like put between his legs and went wide with and tried to drive the net. But I think two interesting things that I've seen is yesterday against Minnesota, and I was at the game, he had, that fourth line was our best line in the first period. And Revo had our best scoring chance, and Ostapchuk was centering that line, and they were up against, Boldy, Eriksson, Kaprizov at times. And they were holding their own and keeping the puck deep and actually outscoring chancing them. And that's an effective fourth line. And that's, to your point, Sheng, where like he can move up to the third line if he fulfills that role. The other thing is when Macklin took the puck in the eye, he was the one that filled in as first line center.
Oh yeah, I can actually though speak to that though, not to cut you down, but I saw that too, and I thought that was something. I asked Warzo after the game. Warzo was like, "No, we just had no centers."
Well, that's exactly.
He
but
said that post game,
100%. But he held his own for that shift.
No, he didn't. You're right.
That's
You're
my
right.
point.
He
Like,
did.
yeah,
He did.
I'm glad that you asked Warso about it. I didn't see that, but he held his own. And like, if you have a center that is like an Ostapchuk, and again, he's growing, developing, and he can move up in your line, up and down your lineup at times. And then the other part that we're seeing is he's starting to time his tips, right? We saw the one that got disallowed, then we saw the one that was in and
That was
counted.
a great tip, yeah.
Correct.
So,
Both were great tip, and both in
Yep.
the same place, and he's moving with the puck at the right time. That's a set play, guys. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, he's doing that, and he's getting better at it, and the defenseman's learning it. And that's something that the Sharks are statistically low on the last couple of years is
Right.
tip and deflections. And if it looks like they're developing him in that way. So I think I love what I've been seeing from him, especially recently.
Yeah, if you can get a couple goals from him doing that a year, right, add
Yeah.
to a couple just being in the right place, right time in front of the net.
Yep.
You get him over the double-digit goals, like we're in
I
business.
still see him, I think, long term as a fourth line. I think it is the offense has got to come a little bit more, but it is making that
Sure.
fourth line, like you said, not just a go out there, check a little bit, go off the ice. They're like actually sometimes maintaining pressure and holding their own in ways that we haven't had a fourth line do that in forever.
He's making
Forever.
plays that is raising the ceiling of that fourth line. Like,
Exactly.
we kind of know who Barkley is. We know who Revo is. We kind of know what they are as players, right?
Yeah.
But he's making that line better with plays that are a little not like Macklin level, but a little above his station,
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, that's a nice pass. Okay, that's
It was stuff that like
Zubair mentioned.
Delandria was doing at the beginning of the year that I think has kind of been missing lately, but it was kind of like that where we were like, whoa, Delandria is showing more of that offensive skill
Right.
Yeah.
that was raising his line. So a little bit more for sure.
And also last night watching Ostapchuk, like the Wild have, like, in my opinion, one of the best fourth lines in the league. Like you got Foligno, Nico Sturm, and Trennan, and they just outworked them. Like they dominated
They
last
hustle.
night.
Yeah.
And that's also Revo and Goodrow playing great, but
Yep.
that line has changed where you're seeing more scoring chances since Ostapchuk got on the line.
Yep.
Since Chucky's been there, like scoring chances have gone up. Time, in the offensive zone has gone up. Seeing a little more control, a little more physicality. Like he's back checking hard.
There was times in the beginning of the year when Godet was on that line that it was kind of similar. It felt like there was at least some
Right.
Yeah.
good scoring chances.
They've all had moments, but yeah, definitely. I think though,
He fits good.
Ostapchuk. I gotta look up the numbers, but I think it's better recently for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it feels like.
And
Yeah.
Ostapchuk has done a good job all along of kind of helping to control the neutral zone in terms of the
Yes.
back checking part you mentioned, right? Like that was his strength
100%.
from like
Oh, yeah. Always.
the second he was called up.
Yup,
Like he was
yup.
doing that at a very high level. But like I said, this offensive component though, that's what the fourth line, right? That's what it needs. That's what your third line needs. You need to be able to push that a little bit, and so that he's been doing that the last couple games especially. Yeah, very very promising. So.
And we talked about this, like we were at dinner last week, Keegan with Konopka and Boilers and Shangers and I, and we were talking about development a lot. And you think about like child development, educational development of any sort, like these things happen at different times. A lot of times you're looking at someone's track record, and Chucky's just got a great story and a great track record, which is why I love the trade from the beginning. I was like, these are people that if you put in the right opportunity and give them the right development, I just believe that they will flourish. Obviously, it's never a guarantee, but that stuff is really important. Like, what have you done? How did you get here? And he has those components too that have shown, like, he rises occasion. He's a hard worker. I do believe that he'll figure it out, and we'll see some offensive stuff. And I agree too. I don't think he necessarily needs to be a 3C to be a great NHLer.
Yeah.
I think he could take that 4C and just run with it and be the Sharks'
He could be like
long-term 4C.
you guys remember Paul Kosted?
Yeah.
Kosted.
Yeah.
Who actually got a first rounder years ago in
Yeah.
a trade, which is probably not a good trade, but that's how good he was as a fourth line center. That team was willing to give up a first round pick for him.
Yeah.
And
Sorry.
I could see some kind of potential like that. And to your point, Zubair, the Sharks always identified him. They always talked to him as like a high character guy, and not like. That wasn't just like lip service. Like you could tell they meant it when they talked about him, and we're seeing all that kind of come together.
Because it was the first conference after he traded him. He said it wasn't really about the pick; it was more about the player. Like it was more about Zach rather than it was about the second round pick. It was hopefully, he keeps it up and gets it consistent. We've seen this with like Cardwell, where there's times when Cardwell looks really good, and then the consistency falls off. And we haven't really seen that yet with Ostapchuk. He hasn't fallen off yet, but hopefully it doesn't, and he just kind of sticks in the lineup long term.
And do you guys see the same thing I'm seeing? I'm seeing like just subtle trending upward. Yeah, right? Just like,
I agree. I am on the same page for sure.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's what I'm seeing. Just like subtly, like
That's what Sheng's saying too. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I wanted to shout him out. And I actually, disrespecting Paul Gossett a little bit, I looked up he's more maybe a third line center, but he's more defensive oriented though.
Yeah.
And so Paul never scored more. He scored 12 goals was his highest, 36 points was his most. He wasn't a natural offensive guy though, but he did draw a first round pick in his prime. And so can Ostapchuk, is that a good comp? I mean, that's what they're hoping for, right? That kind of comp, right?
Yeah.
So
even if he just turns into Nico Sturm, I think it's still a good player to have.
I love Nico, but I think he's going to be better than Nico.
Yeah, I think so.
Everyone knows I love my Nico Sturm.
You do.
Who doesn't?
I know we're going to talk about Askarov real quick.
Yeah.
But I want to talk about Vinny Iorio because I think Vinny Iorio is doing really well.
I just got to say, you robbed my fourth guy.
Did I?
Yes. God damn it.
Well, we
100% with you. I know where this is going now.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Okay, cool. Well, we didn't get to say it when Boilers was on here because we could be like, well, now the real 22.
I did try to mention Vinny Iorio, but he was looking at his phone or something like that.
So Keegan, you're on the thread, but when we were all working the game in Calgary, I texted all of us because me, Sheng, and Boilers were all working, and then I was like, hey, maybe you just have to be here because when you're here, this is the best game I've seen from him. And then after that, he just got better and better and better. And we put that in our thread too.
He's looked super comfortable. He's expanding his offensive capabilities a bit. He's getting the puck on net more cleanly. He isn't getting beat as much. He's like, I really think he's another one of those guys that Grier and his staff, obviously not just Grier, but they're identifying a guy that's that 22, 23 range that hasn't fully developed yet, and picking him out and saying that's our guy and getting him. And not that Iorio is going to be a world beater, and things can change, but he might just turn into another Ty Emberson, which was another great pickup from last year. It's like these assets that you never that are on waivers that good GMs and good staffs can pick up and identify. So really good. And they had to do so many gymnastics to keep him, but go ahead, check.
No, I was just gonna say that showed how much they liked him though, because they've gone through a lot of trouble to keep him. I mean, they had again 9 defensemen. I don't know if I've ever seen that construction 12, 9, and 2 on the roster, but they did it because they liked Washington gave him up, and the Sharks liked him, and they wanted to keep him. They didn't want to risk putting him back on waivers, and that happens with a young player. But it shows though that their staff is identifying players, and they're seeing things. They're seeing things more or less right. You're not going to be 100% right. Yeah. And I know there are a lot of people, not just fans. I talked to a lot of people that questioned the Ostapchuk one, and I think people would still question it because you still don't know how much upside you're getting offensively.
Yeah,
but
Zetterlund has got he's doing better this year. He started off pretty slow, but he's doing much better in the last.
Picked it up, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He's playing third line though, right?
Yeah. He bounces. He's gone from fourth to first to third. But he just scored today the game-winning goal against Washington.
Nice.
Yeah,
we're always rooting for Zetterlund.
Yeah,
he's great.
He's got 18 points in 39 games. He's picked it up for sure though, because he was started off super slow. But there are definitely
moments with Ostapchuk, last year or whatever, where you're like, I don't know if this guy's going to be everyday NHLer. Not that exact version of Ostapchuk. If you project, you're like, okay, he works hard, he can skate, he's good defensively. When you project it out, you see it, but and I always did, but that exact version of Ostapchuk we saw last year at times was not necessarily a guy that, if he didn't grow,
well, I think it's
was going to be.
We all treated it with grace then too, because we're like, hey, new team, new system.
No, but
you're getting more opportunity. We were always hey, we know why. Even we've talked about this shit. We knew why, and we're and then we saw the positives, drop the mitts with Tom Wilson, right? It's crazy.
Forgot about that.
No, but even last year too, I would say that when in a neutral zone, when you try to skate through him, you couldn't skate through him. No, if he got a hold of you, you weren't getting past him. Yeah, he skates.
He's got great reach. He closes gaps. He's always a fan.
Another step though, and so again, that's a credit to the scouting staff for identifying that this is a guy that was going to do it. He looks like he's doing it, and he's still young, so there's more to give. So Askarov, So I just want to give him credit just for, again, he's gritting out. He's giving up some bad goals for sure. This is not November Askarov, but he's, I think, now 6-4 this month, even though his save percentage is like 880 or something like that. And more or less, though, because 4 of those losses, he was like pooled in 3 of them, I think.
Yeah.
And he had no chance in 3 of them. So the ones that he was pulled, the team gave him no chance in front of him. So I got to give him a lot of credit. I feel like this season is going like as well as can be for him. Like, we're seeing the very best of him, but he's also learning like the everyday aspect of, hey, I'm not always going to be 944 save percentage of Askarov. I've got to be able to win games when like I give up a shitty goal.
Yeah.
Like, I think the worst one yesterday was probably the Foligno one, just because that's Foligno. And also, that's Foligno's first goal of the year. And also, too, it's like such a bad angle. Like, I know Tarasenko had a bad angle one, too, but Tarasenko can pick corners.
Yeah, he's got a good shot.
Foligno just shouldn't happen, right? But he comes back. The Zuccarello goal, you don't really love, too, because it's long distance, but that's more on Macklin for putting him in a bad position.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just love the comeback, the huge save on Hughes in overtime. The shootout saves. I think he made another big save in there too. I forget who it was. But anyway, though, I like what I'm seeing. I know that I see some comments like, "Oh, look at his save percentage. It's worse in the league, or second to worst in the league," and you guys are like propping this guy. But I think that this is all really healthy. And he still is not playing in front of there's not a great defense in front of him. So like, his numbers are going to suffer for that. But he's winning, and he's winning, and he's keeping a good attitude, and he has that, that next save mentality. And I got to tell a funny story about his fuck up in Anaheim. I'll let you guys talk about Yaro for a little bit before I tell it.
That was interesting. Just seeing the two, like, probably 2 of the biggest goalie prospects for the past 5-6 years in the same game, right?
Yeah.
It was Wellstead versus
awesome,
Askarov.
yeah.
And those 2 have been, heralded as like the biggest prospects for a long time. And both of them are super amazing. Like, Wellstead had a very, very poor season. I think it was last year in the AHL. People were writing him off. They were like, well, it didn't work out. And then here he is, like a 930 on Minnesota. And obviously Minnesota has now a completely stacked blue line. But yeah, just great to see those 2 last night. So I agree, Sheng. Like, there's going to be moments there, and it's those goals that we've seen in the beginning of the season that they find that corner.
Right.
There's still so much there that he's a battler. Like down low, you can't get anything through this guy. Like, just how many times is he, protecting the paint? His pads are out like 6 feet across, and like, it is insane. And it's just, I have a confidence watching him that it's been a while, like since Blackwood was here and with a goalie, right? Like, you just know that, he might give up a goal or 2, but like, it's not going to be the team deflating. Oh man, most times that's going to be that way. They're going to come back and battle.
Well, he's showing though that like, hey, a bad goal will get past him, but he has the capability of, I'm going to lock it down from here, or I'm going to make that. It's not going to affect me. I'm going to make that big save on Quinn Hughes. I'm not thinking about that Zuccarello goal anymore. And to the Wallstead point, last year he had a 879 save percentage with the Iowa Wild.
Who were horrible.
843 in just 2 games with the Minnesota Wild. So terrible numbers. But you wonder, too, if this kind of adversity is good for these guys sometimes, too. Like, even for Askarov, right? Askarov's always had good AHL numbers, but there's been a lot of talk about in the AHL playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Not with the Barracuda so much, but with the Admirals, where he would lose his starting job. He just kind of not be the guy that people expected for a first round pick. But this kind of adversity is good for them. And like I said, with Askarov this month, some adversity is self-created, like his turnover.
Yeah.
But again, though, he gets over it and he makes these big saves. So anyway, the story I want to tell about that is he referenced it in an interview, but that morning I talked to them about just gutting out wins, because we've seen that, especially that Pittsburgh game. I thought was a great example of that, because he was coming off of illness. He had missed the last 3 games because of illness. He wouldn't have missed those 3 games, but they put him in anyway. and he wasn't great against Pittsburgh. They got down 5-1. If you look at every single goal that the Sharks gave up in that Pittsburgh game, there's probably one or two you might want back, but the Sharks were terrible that game. They were down 5-1, so no one's really looking at Askarov there, right? But they start to come back, and he locks it down. He guts out a win. He made a lot of big saves, too, up to that point, to even keep it to 5-1. It probably could have been worse, if it weren't for him. And so, anyway, just from that point on, you just kind of see the Vancouver game, maybe the Drew O'Connor one. That's what I was asking about. I was like, you probably don't like that one, right? He didn't like that shorthanded Drew O'Connor goal that made it 4-3. But he locks it down. Canucks go on a power play. A couple minutes later, he makes a couple big saves on there. And so that's what he was referencing, that he was, quote unquote, blaming me for his mistake in Anaheim. Because we're talking about overcoming adversity, self-created or otherwise. But I just, again, that mental toughness is so important, right? Everybody sees like the physical attributes that Askarov has, and all these players have, right? But to see them overcoming mentally, be it Macklin, gives up that turnover, but you don't see any change in his game after that. Even a Shakir Mukhamadullin, who was a game time decision yesterday, right? And I think that's something that Shakir has to probably work on more, is like just gritting it out. Like, hey, I'm a little banged up, but I'm not 100%. Who is at this point of the season? And so these are things that they're learning, and they're overcoming at a much obviously higher clip than last year. So it's impressive.
So I agree, and my thoughts on Askey are he's the second most important player on this team, and that's just how it is. Like he's crucial to the Sharks, and I think he's the second most important person to where the Sharks are and why they're in playoffs. He's that good. And to your point, I think also, if there's any criticism of, his postseason production when he was with Nashville's affiliate team and all of that, I think culture is such a big part of it. And I always go back to the organization and I go back to the development. And, this is a place where you let Askey be Askey. And I don't know why I've never heard this comp, but he's kind of like our Fleury, in a way. To the Penguins, like in terms of personality.
Well, I kind of said, I actually I think I said this on a podcast. Like I would have given like money. Well, maybe I wouldn't have given money, but the Sharks should have given money to get Marc-Andre Fleury out of retirement just to back up Askey.
Yeah, awesome.
That would have been hilarious.
Hilarious. Like
vibes, and I love Nedeljkovic. He's been great, but
of course,
the vibes per 60 with Fleury and Askarov,
dude, out of control.
Overboard.
Yeah,
out of control.
Out of control. Like no, that's Askey. He's got a big personality, and he's just like a bundle of joy. And I love that. Like I love that he can play, and I feel like the culture. Like you look at Celebrini after that goal, first person over there tapping the pads. Right, you don't earn that. That's not only credit on Celebrini. Not all goalies earn that. Mm-hmm. Like Askey's been there when the team's in the pits, and like you said, like bailed him out, and so you get a couple of those, and I hope that they continue, because earlier in that game he made some great plays playing the puck, and those are often forgotten with your egregious mistake. But I love a team that supports him through that. Like
before that Anaheim mistake, he made a great play to celebrate. Literally, like 30 seconds. I was about to write about it, and then he fucked it up. I was like, oh shit. Well,
well, that's the point. You can't. And he has a team and a culture that's like, dude, be you. It feel like and also we love this. We're not like trots. That's like being all old school about who you can be. Yeah. And they're letting him be himself. They're letting his character development sort of blossom, and then I think you're seeing that on the ice where they're like, oh, you fucked it up. It's all good. Like, let's go.
One thing that I think Doug Wilson doesn't get enough credit for is that he did set a place for Jumbo and Brent Burns, a place for players to be themselves, and didn't lead to the Stanley Cup, which was the goal, obviously, but like. Those are players that maybe would have had issues.
Big personalities.
Elsewhere. Yeah, big personalities, right? And so I've written about that before a long time ago. That I think that Mike maybe saw that, maybe he took from that. I don't know. I'm gonna ask Mike about that one day.
Maybe this whole Warsaw and the Sharks don't like Russians is overblown. Like maybe we actually.
That's stupid from the beginning.
I know it was, but no, we've got Chernyshov, we got Askarov, Mukhamadulin's doing okay. So my idea, go after Artemi Panarin in the offseason. Add him to this team.
I don't know.
Give him 4 years, like $10 million or something crazy.
And then we are the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah,
we are. Yeah, we are.
Exactly. I don't know about that.
We
I don't know
are.
about that, Keegan.
I'm just
I'm not
saying.
sure about
We'll
that.
just
He's a
outscore
UFA.
everybody.
We
I
outscore
don't think-
everybody.
I don't think Ryan Rosowski needs to show his love for Russians.
Go
in
get
that way.
Panarin.
But one of the things that and
That'd
you
be
can tell,
awesome, though. Oh, my God.
if you guys watch enough press conferences, you can just tell what a coach thinks of a player. And I think it was Curtis Mercury News that asked after maybe Chernyshov's third game. I think the question was, does it look like he belongs in the NHL?
Mm-hmm.
And I put that out there on Twitter because it was so definitive. Where Sasha just looked at the camera and just yes.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Of course, you
Yeah.
see what I'm seeing there, and that's where we talk about, let's be honest, Mukmadulin or Gushin or Kovalenko
Yep.
or the Russian players that fans are their totem poles, like Warsawski or the Sharks don't like Russian players. Those players don't reach that level where a coach just is yes, he absolutely belongs in NHL.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For sure.
They just haven't, right?
100%,
And that's just the honest truth of it. And so, that was always, Anyway, we don't have to go back to
since
that.
Keegan stole my Iorio chat, which I love because it's always great when we're seeing the same thing because it's very validating. So I love that because I agree. The other one that I've been talking about and I continue to see progression from, who's positively been getting quieter and quieter, Sam Dickinson. Sam Dickinson's been playing very good hockey, the best hockey I've ever seen him play in a Sharks jersey, and it's just getting slowly better and better and better, and he's stepping up in plays, he's timing his pinches, and as soon as he figures out finish, I wonder what his high-scoring danger chances are. He is timing his opportunities to step into play so much better.
You're actually good perceptive there. He actually, this was even earlier in the season, he's among the leaders in high danger defensive chances because he knows he can skate, right? And so he steps up. And so his rate, obviously his volume isn't that high because he doesn't play a lot.
Yeah.
But his rate is high. But the problem, of course, is that not just finish, but also too his defensive game hasn't caught up enough where he can trust them to take those chances all the time, right?
Yeah.
But I do agree with you that I don't think his path of development, and he's a defenseman, and he's also just 19, so I don't really worry about it. But I think he is quietly getting better, but he is inconsistent. He has some very bad games and bad shifts too still, and he will still have those, right? But I think though that there is sort of the progression chart, right? Where if you look at the big plays, the splash plays, there's a little bit of high, really low, a little bit of that, right? But if you look at just the general detail of the game, it is a steady curve up.
Yes.
It's not like this.
Yes.
His stonks aren't going ridiculous.
Yeah.
But it's like this,
Yes.
steady,
Yes.
And so yeah, I've liked his game, but I do think the Sharks have him kind of where he should be, where they're not giving him too much on his plate yet. He's not at that point yet. So.
No, they're doing great, and I just see him getting subtly better and better. And we all know if the Sharks want to be a really good team in the future, he's going to be a big part of it. We agree that he's not going to be what I think a lot of people expect, and I keep hearing, and I think this will always exist, the Bouillon versus Dickinson, but when we played in Vancouver, I had some buddies text me, dude, Sam Dickinson played better than Bouillon that game for sure.
No, Bouillon definitely is his defensive game is really like I said, it's different kind of interesting
Different
development
player.
where I think with
Different player.
Bouillon they kind of just let go.
Yeah.
Right. Whereas with Dickinson, I feel like the Sharks have kind of intentionally put some clamps on him because they want him to learn to play within himself in the NHL before letting him go a little bit. And it's just different kind of development kind of.
But that comparison, because of the
right
draft, will always exist. Even if they're different players, we're going to have that conversation multiple times for the next decade. Yeah. And I think it's a great discussion.
Yeah, it is a fun one. I had a great conversation with Zeev about it in Vancouver. And he talked about how he's also good friends with Will Smith.
Yeah.
And so when the Sharks pick comes at number 11, he was honest. He was like, yeah, of course it crossed my mind, because how could it not? Because he's good. He's buddies with Macklin. He's buddies with Will Smith from the USA program.
Stay in California.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
All that, right? But anyway, though.
But yeah, I mean, it's you never know how these players end up. They're going to be different players. I think at the end of the day, both good, both on winning teams. It's just different dudes that you need on your team. We still need a guy like William. We're gonna have to find one, but we'll figure it out eventually.
All right, guys. So we've been talking about the Sharks for 2.5 hours.
Happy New Year.
Should I say Jesus? Or should I say Macklin?
Yes,
let me replace Jesus with Macklin.
Yeah.
Dear Macklin, we've been talking about the Sharks for 2.5 hours. But anyway, so we're setting up for Craig Button. And I think that we don't need a Keegan's Prospects Corner right now because we're going to talk with Craig in a little bit. No, I don't know if we're going to play the music for Craig.
We have to play the music for Craig. If we don't play the music for Craig, I'm out of here.
Prospect Corner. Keegan's Prospect Corner. Keegan's Prospect Corner.
Keegan.
All right, so it might be a twofer for that hit jam, the number one hit, taking all the radio stations.
That's it.
Keegan's Prospects Corner.
Good.
So maybe we'll play it for
Maybe.
Craig Button.
I think you would be very weirded out. So this is probably going to be your only Prospects Corner for everybody. You would be like, what the fuck is this?
Play that shit again, DJ. Play that shit again.
Hit it again.
Hit it again. All right, y'all.
You know what I want to hear. But anyway, Craig Button's coming on. Again, Craig is going to talk about, he was way ahead of Macklin Celebrini to the Olympics.
Yep.
So that's one reason why I want to talk with him. It's also a great time. Middle Road Juniors. Maybe we should have got him the next week after. But anyway, Middle Road Juniors. Talk with him about what he's seen about Michael Misa and all that. And also his thoughts on the 2026 draft. So stay tuned for that.
Love it.
Also, I just wanted to say special thanks to Alex from Snipe City 420 on Instagram, who's been helping us with one of the teammates that have joined San Jose Hockey Now. So, we did our gratitude last week, and I meant to, and I forgot to mention Alex. So he's been a great part of our team as well.
Love it.
Alex is the man, dude. He's great.
Yeah.
He's great. So, yeah, shout out Alex. And again, thanks to all our subscribers. Let's have a happy new year, everyone.
Happy New Year and a playoff Sharks team.
Let's
to
go.
all.
Craig Button is in Minneapolis for the World Junior Championships. We're lucky to have Craig on right now. He's got 4 games today. This is January 2nd, the first day of the knockout round. Anyway, Craig Button. He is a TSN Director of Scouting, Draft Guru. We've had Craig on the show a couple of times. We love Craig. We're having Craig on now in particular today because Craig is the first guy probably who called Macklin Celebrini on the Canadian Olympic team. He was way ahead of everybody. He called Macklin on the Olympic team in July. There's a clip of it. Go look for it. Also, too, we'll talk to Craig about the 2026 draft and, of course, the World Junior Championships. Welcome back, Craig.
Yeah, my pleasure to be there. It's nice winter weather here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. We're right across the street from the Grand Casino Arena. It's been a really good tournament. It's been really competitive. USA and Finland, what a quarterfinal matchup. Both these teams have been inconsistent. They've been really good, and then other times not so good. So it sets up for a very interesting quarterfinal. Bottom line is that USA has to win. Like, the tournament needs the USA to win. We cannot go into a medal round without the USA in it, and the 2-time defending gold medal champions. Yeah. Well, the 2-time gold medal champions too. They want to compete they want to give themselves a shot at the three-peat.
So I wanted to ask Craig, see, you're born in Rochester, but Canadian national, who are you rooting for? Team USA or Team Canada? Today and the Olympics.
No, overall.
Well, not today, like in the World Juniors, but the Olympics more on the greater scale.
And so I'm going to tell you a funny story, Zubair. But so my daughters were both born in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So they're dual citizens too. And my youngest daughter, she's a character. So she just likes to be on the winning side. So she goes, I kind of I root for Canada in the Winter Olympics and the USA in the Summer Olympics. That's her take, right? Like, so she just always wants to be on the right side. My wife works for the Canadian Olympic Committee, so I got to be a little bit careful. But I have so many friends on both sides of the border. And what we saw last year in the 5 Nations and the 4 Nations face-off, it was just phenomenal hockey. And I expect it to be, let's look at it this way. I look at it this way, is that the USA It used to be, okay, Canada, can anybody touch Canada? Can Canada be upset? However you want to use it, Canada's won 3 Olympics. There is no question when we look at the international hockey scene now that the USA is right at the top. And along with Canada, you're going to get a good game. I mean, you got the best players playing on, when you look at both teams, I mean, it can go either way, just like it did in the Four Nations face-off. Canada finds a way. If it wasn't for Jordan Binnington with 3 great saves on Austin Matthews, the USA is celebrating the victory. So when I look at it, it's great hockey. And it's hard for me to root for or against anybody, because when you root for one, you're rooting against another. I think my broadcast career has brought me full circle where I don't have to have allegiances. And as my dear friend Ray Ferraro always says, we just hate all the teams equally. It's not that we don't.
Wow, that is a very diplomatic response. So, yeah. Kudos to you for that. But maybe Macklin Celebrini, though, will continue to give that edge to Canada. And so, anyway, you called Macklin on the Canadian Olympic tape in July. There's a clip of, I think, talking about Travis Konechny, who did not make the team, and you're just saying, hey, it's going to be Macklin. So anyway, what gave you confidence for that? I mean, that was a bold prediction for the time.
I appreciate the fact that you call it bold. I'm not so sure that any comment talking about Macklin Celebrini's brilliance and excellence is bold. Because when you watch what he's done over the course of his career, I've had a real luxury to watch him since he was 15. So all he has done, and all you got to do is look. You don't have to believe me. Just go look at his record. He was the best player in the USHL as a 16-year-old. He was the best player in the NCAA as a 17-year-old. Lane Hudson had a fantastic year and ended up winning Rookie of the Year in the NHL in his first year, a couple years older. But Macklin was brilliant. And you watch I think there's so many things about Macklin that make him not only excellent, but unique. But when you watch him play, there's just this comfort level that he puts on display. Don't look at my birth certificate. Just watch me play. Just watch me. I've called him a lowercase Sidney Crosby. We know how great Sidney Crosby has been. And so when I continue to see those attributes shine brightly and continue to excel like he does, that's a player that to me, is at the upper echelon of players. I'm going to make another bold statement here. And I don't think it's bold. I think it's accurate. You have McDavid and McKinnon as the 2 top centers for Canada. Crosby's going to play the left wing with McKinnon. The 3rd best center on Team Canada is Macklin Celebrini. He's the 3rd best center on Team. I'm not going to say he's going to play center. Mike Johnson and I, who we went back and forth in July, he said to me the other day, I said, Mike, I didn't say he's going to play center. I said he's the 3rd best center on Team Canada. Okay, Sidney Crosby, if he was playing center, might be, but that's how good Macklin is. He's one of the best centers in the entire National Hockey League.
Yes.
Let's not just talk about Team Canada. So to me, when I watch Macklin play and having watched him play, there are no signs that there is anything that is going to intimidate Macklin or prevent him from excelling. And all he does is continue to show it. I mean, the top 3 scorers in the NHL, are going into 2026. Yeah, McKinnon, McDavid, and Celebrini. That tells you a big story.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point, though, that I think that in our analysis, even as a Sharks podcast, that we keep, not that we keep, but it's easy to keep putting a ceiling on Macklin, and just you kind of can't, though, because he is that good. Going into the season, I thought to myself, well, I don't know if he's going to have that sophomore explosion that some players have, like Steven Stamkos had that. And he's blowing that away. Steven Stamkos' rookie year, 23 goals. Second year, he had 46 goals, that kind of thing. Macklin is at that caliber and beyond. So anyway,
Do you know who's suffering the most from Macklin Celebrini's excellence? Is Gavin McKenna, who is excellent in his own right, but a different player than Macklin Celebrini. And I hear this often. Well, look at what Macklin did when he was in his season at Boston University in the NCAA. I said, yeah, we all know what he did, but Macklin's a different player. And when you come across a player like Macklin, they don't come along very often. They're rare. Like, I do not throw out the lowercase Sidney Crosby comparable, just like that. That's a manhole cover I'm picking up and tossing out there. That's not a little penny that I'm tossing out to everybody there. And I'm not doing that. That's how good Macklin is. And Gavin's a heck of a player. But if you want to keep comparing him to Macklin, well, good. He's never going to measure up because he can't. Like, very few are, like, coming into a draft for the next 15, 20 years are going to be able to measure up to Macklin, if any of them. That just speaks to how good he is. And now, like I said, 16 years old with the Chicago Steel, 17 at BU, 18 in San Jose, 19 San Jose, Olympic teen guy. And Macklin's not going to the Olympics to just be an extra. Yeah. Like, he will be a guy that they are counting on to help them compete for the gold medal.
It's amazing.
Yeah, if he is in a bottom six role, that's quite a mismatch too. If you've got one of the top three scorers and he's your third line center.
Third line winger, yeah.
Do you know, Keegan, one of the things I've learned over the years is really good players like to play with really good players. Mm-hmm. You know, and they all know how good, Macklin is, having played against them. Those top guys, McKinnon, McDavid, they go, like, just put 71 on my line, please. Put him on my line. Because that's how good he is. And that's how, and he understands what he can do with any type of player. I think that's another thing. You talk about meshing and being able to play different roles in different situations. I mean, Macklin is not, I mean, I would imagine if you asked Macklin to play defense, he'd be able to go and do that very adeptly because he's just so good. Yes. Yeah, right? Yeah. No, I don't think they're going to make him an e-bug, but,
Macklin's got some Sergei Fedorov traits. I see it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, yeah. Well, again, he's a brilliant player. I mean, the San Jose Sharks are really lucky. I said this with you guys previously. I think Mike Grier and his group have done a fantastic job. Obviously you get a superstar like Macklin. I mean, that's going to really help you. But the way they've drafted, the way they have other players that have filled out around the roster that are really good and will continue to be really good key players, I mean, it's beyond impressive. I don't think there's any question that the San Jose Sharks are on an upward trajectory. And I think it's like, you see what they've done this year, it's coming. And you don't have to go, oh, it's 2 years from now, it's coming. Yeah. And could they make the playoffs like the Montreal Canadiens did last year? Hey, listen, why not? You're halfway through a season and you're showing what you can do. And certainly you have to believe that they can. Just really quickly, guys, and when I say quickly, I just want to add this in. Sahlin Wallenius, a draft pick of the San Jose Sharks, second-round pick, he has been brilliant here for Sweden. And you watch, so he's another defenseman that comes in. You think of Sam Dickinson, who could be here, isn't here, but is a real big part of the San Jose Sharks' future. Well, Sahlin Wallenius is a real big part of Sweden's present as they try to compete for a gold medal, and certainly will be a significant part of the San Jose Sharks' future.
So,
yeah,
Craig,
Keegan
that's
Keegan's on that in a little bit. Yeah. But you guys got a question on Sam Dickinson right now, though.
You, Craig, you had actually hit on our next 5 questions right there.
Yeah.
Let's go back and rewind the tape a little bit.
Sure, Keegan. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Craig, I wanted to follow up with Sam and someone else you've been watching since he was 15, and you've said that he was a player that you as a coach you can trust putting out there. And you see him as someone that, can always add to his toolkit. And you also called that he was going to play in the NHL this season. So what have you seen from Sam this season, and why did you make that prediction? Tell us a little more about what you see in Sam Dickinson.
I think you're really missing, I really appreciate the props you're giving me, saying about Macklin in July, saying that I said Sam Dickinson would be in the NHL this year. You should have asked me what the numbers were for the Powerball this previous week.
That close.
You
misdirected your energies in July for sure.
Nostradamus.
All kidding aside, again, Sam has a maturity to his game from a physical point of view, but last year going going back and playing in London, the success that he had, the success that the team had, there was no question that Sam was going to be ready to take on the challenges of the NHL. And it wasn't just his physical attributes and those skills that make him so good and are going to continue to make him so good. He's got a real maturity within himself. This is what I need to do. He used to have 1 foot over the boards when he was playing in London, because he needed to have 1 foot over the boards because he was going out there for 30 minutes a night. But the way he's adjusted, I mean, he hasn't played every game. He's been a scratch. They're working him in. But the mindset that he has to understand where he is at today and to keep working at not only being a good functioning player for the San Jose Sharks when he's in the lineup, but to continue to work on his game. I really believe, and now this may raise some eyebrows, I think the San Jose Sharks were so wise in not lending Sam Dickinson to Team Canada for the World Junior Tournament. Like, he's so far beyond junior hockey now, mentally, physically, from a skill point of view. I don't think coming back and playing in the World Junior Tournament listen, Sam would have come and been terrific. But I don't think that was the right thing for San Jose or for Sam. So and there's a lot of pressure. Oh, go play in the World Junior Tournament. No. What he's doing for the San Jose Sharks is where he's at today. You don't go to first-year university, and because you might not be mastering all the classes and then decide, well, I'm going back to grade 12 and be a senior in high school again. And that's how I feel about Sam. I really do I think it was a real positive decision by San Jose for them and for Sam.
I love that. Yeah, we've been seeing like steady growth in Sam's game, and it's just, we were just commenting on it. It's just this. It's nothing skyrocketing, but he's growing at a consistent rate, and he does it with a positive mindset. You know, he makes a mistake, he comes back out there, and he gives you a good shift the next shift. He's not beating himself up, and we're big Sam Dickinson fans for sure.
Well, you'll become even bigger Sam Dickinson fans because he will be a 25-minute-a-night defenseman in the National Hockey League, and he will be on the power play, and he will be on the penalty kill, and he'll be that defenseman, as I've talked about for coaches. I call him comfort food, because when he's out on the ice, you know, your heart rate doesn't go up, your stress levels aren't high, you know, because everything is going to be taken care of by Sam. And I think that type of maturity you talk about speaks volumes. You know, players don't try to make mistakes, but the good ones learn quickly from their mistakes, and they also learn not to repeat those mistakes. That's part of experience. That's part of going on, and that's what Sam demonstrated in junior hockey, and that's what you're seeing him do now in the early part of his NHL career.
Do you like how the Sharks have handled him in a sense of, it feels like they are kind of breaking him in slowly? Obviously, you know, kind of development days here and there, also to not playing him a lot, and also keeping him off the power play. Feels like they want him to kind of hone in on the defensive aspects, and once he kind of masters that a little bit more, then they'll let him go a little more.
I think you portrayed it perfectly. And playing defense in the National Hockey League is really, really hard. And you get into the wrong spot on the ice. If you get in the wrong spot on the ice by 3 feet, it's massive space. Other opponents take advantage. You take a step in the wrong direction, it's like taking 5 steps in the wrong direction, and you can't recover. So understanding how fast the game is being played at, how quickly things can ensue just from a little mistake or a little 3-foot pass that leads to an outlet and bang, you're on the offense. A wrong step in the wrong direction, and now the other team's now attacking you. Those are all things. The game goes fast. How many times do we hear, oh, the players are seeing, they're slowing the game down? You watch Will Smith now. I'll just use Will as an example. Will was always a really good offensive player, and he's going to continue to be a good offensive player. But, you know, he's rushing things. He's got the puck. And now you watch him. Oh, I got a little. That second that he didn't think he has, he now treats it like he has 2 seconds. That's the game slowing down because you're adjusting. Everything's fast, and I think it's the exact same thing for every young player. For a defenseman, it's a little bit harder because of the way the game transitions so fast now. So I think for Sam, you're seeing those things, and that's part of development. You can throw a player in there and have him just go, but is he learning? Is he understanding what I call the disciplines of his position? That's what Sam is doing. He has those in place. Now he's just trying to get it up to the level that is required to be a more minutes defenseman in the NHL, and you take those in steps.
Speaking of a guy that's adjusted super quickly, though, have you caught any Igor Chernyshov clips yet? Are you surprised by how good he's been so far?
No, not one bit. I love Igor. Like, when he left the Barracuda last year and he went back down to Saginaw, I think it became like immediately noticeable how skilled he was and how much it helped Michael Misa. Like, I said on the, like, with Michael Misa and Chernyshov, you have that chemistry from Saginaw, right? But Igor he's a really good offensive thinking player. And by that, like, it's not about just, it's what he sees other players doing that allows him to get open. Like, he reads off of things. He goes, okay. And that, you can't just, I'm going to the net. Oh, why didn't you get me the puck? You got to read off what other guys are doing. You got to get open at the right times. They have to feel comfortable with you. Like, so Igor has that great hockey sense. And then you combine it with this really good high skill. And the other thing I'll say that Igor benefits from, I think he can really benefit. If I'm the coach, I'm going to just watch Toffoli play. Watch how he maneuvers. Tyler's never been the fastest guy.
Right.
But Tyler's the guy that always shows up in the right places at the right times. Why? Because he thinks, he watches, he understands where he's going. And I think that Igor Chernyshov has those types of qualities in terms of thinking. A little bit at the same stage of the game, better skater than Tyler, but Tyler's had a fantastic NHL career.
Right.
But that type of thinking, we see players race up and down the ice and they get nowhere fast. You want players to get to the right places at the right times, and I think that Igor is able to do that. I mean, like I said, last year when I got to watch him in Saginaw when he showed up there, like it was like eye popping. Like, and I think ask Michael Misa. Michael Misa will tell you he was a big part of Michael Misa exploding the way he did offensively.
Well, I think that moves us to a good question on Misa. Keegan, you want to take that? I think you had a question on Misa.
Yes. So one thing that I wanted to mention is you said that the right move for Dickinson was to stay in the NHL. Do you think that was the right move for Misa to go to the World Juniors?
I do. I think coming off the injury, it gave him a chance to get some minutes. Keep in mind, Michael's 18 years old. He's 18. Sam's a year older. And Michael, I think with the injury, an opportunity to come back and being given a prominent offensive role. That's what he's going to be when it's all said and done. He's going to have a prominent offensive role. You're in the NHL, you're playing, you're trying to, I call it, you're treading water. You're trying to keep your head above water because it can feel like everything's kind of cascading over your head. And, and that can become an overwhelming feeling. To be able to go back and really work on those skill parts of his game, which is what Michael's game is about, I think the World Junior tournament gave him that opportunity. And I think it's a good opportunity for him. And that's exactly what he has done. He's played in a prominent role. He's been on the power play, and you want him to build that confidence. The further you move away from the areas of your game that have made you so good, you're trying to find it now. Now he just has to kind of get it, kind of scrub off a little bit of the rust and get going. I think that, Mike Grier in San Jose were not sending Michael to come and be a depth player here. They wanted to be assured that he was going to be a real good frontline player and given all those opportunities. And hey, Dale Hunter's a smart guy. He knows what Michael can do, and he put him. But I do think that's a real positive for Michael to come and just work on that part of his game, build that confidence part of his game again.
Yeah. How do you think his performance has been so far in the pre-knockout stage for Michael Misa?
Yeah, I think it's been solid. Again, this is a hard tournament, and one of the things you look at when you come to this tournament, countries have been preparing. In the case of the European countries, they played in tournaments together. USA and Canada put their team together prior to the tournament, but they've had summer camps, and I think that. When you look at the talent that's around Michael, him and Martone and Iginla have slowly working, I think, into their chemistry. the tournament is about how you get better over the course of time. And like a team, individuals and lines have to do that. But certainly, I think they've really found a comfort level with the line. They had Michael at one point. He was up with Brady Martin and McKenna. And then they said, wait a sec, this might be a little bit better spot for you. And I think that along with Martone and Iginla, that the three of them with Michael are finding their level of play. They're finding that level of confidence, moving the puck, being dangerous offensively. And that's what you want to see going into a quarterfinal, because if you're not building that, you're going to have a tough time being able to beat the better teams, because the competition only becomes that much harder. But real positive signs, not just for Michael, but for the line.
Does it feel, though, that like Michael has another level to his game? That's sort of what, on the outside looking in, that's what people seem to be saying, that maybe he's got another level that he hasn't quite reached yet.
Like in this tournament?
Yeah, in this tournament, yeah.
Yeah, having watched Michael for as long as I've watched Michael, Michael has this kind of unassuming quality of like, don't be too quick to judge what I haven't done, because you might not be ready for what I'm going to do. And he's always played up an age level, and he's so conscientious. One of the things that always has impressed me about Michael is how conscientious. I think if Michael wanted to go chase points, he could easily do that. Because he's so skilled. But he understands that I got to do some certain things in the game. But Michael has always been a big game performer. Always. And what I mean by, he's not going to go chase it, but when it's needed and he needs to push it, he will. So I don't think there's any question that you can count on the best of Michael Misa to be coming out. And that's how he's wired, but he's going to do things the right way, and he's going to do them to help the team. But when the big play is needed and the right plays are needed and the game elevates, he elevates. And that has always been the case with Michael.
Do you think coming out of this tournament that he is going to be better suited to go join the Sharks or go back to Saginaw or just the OHL in general?
I don't want to poo-poo the idea of him going to junior hockey. He has dominated junior hockey.
Sure.
He's played there for 3 years. I don't think junior hockey would benefit Michael Misa. I think being being with the San Jose Sharks, maybe not playing every game, but being part of the team, training, and everything that goes with it is the best thing for Michael. Yeah, Michael could go back to Saginaw, put up lots of points and be there. But I don't think that, for me, if it was me making the decision, not like it'd be over. Like, you're not going back to junior.
Okay.
Get settled here. You're playing here. We're working with you daily development. You're going to be playing games. Obviously, we want to work on some offensive things for you and keep you on that confidence level. Because I think the big thing with a young player like Michael now is making sure that he doesn't lose that offensive confidence. Usually your confidence goes first. It's not your abilities, not that your abilities will go anywhere, but you need to continue to have that. So trying to keep that honed, but I don't think I think junior hockey should be, and if it was up to me, would be in his rearview mirror.
You had mentioned earlier on that Sahlin Wallenius had been playing some big minutes for Sweden. He led actually all Swedish skaters in time on ice against the U.S. in that big win. Has he kind of taken that, I wouldn't call it, I guess, number one job, but do you think he's kind of close to that for Sweden as their number one D?
Yeah, they got three defensemen. Leo, Sasha Boumedienne, excuse me, and Alphonse Frey. Like, flip them around. I don't care who it is. Those three guys have been their triangle of strength on the blue line. So, Leo might have played the most minutes. Alphonse does so many things. Sasha comes out, and the three of them have been massively impressive for Sweden. They're great skaters. They're great thinkers. They're competitors. So I think that, it doesn't have to all fall on Leo Sahlin Wallenius. It doesn't have to all fall on Boumedienne. It doesn't have to fall on Frey. They can work off of different scenarios, and the team is never short. Like, Boumedienne gets a penalty, that's okay. I got these other two guys. Leo gets a penalty, I got these other guys. Power play, you can swing around, but you're never compromised on the back end when you have three players that are that good. The other thing that the three of them do is whoever they're playing with helps them be better too, because they don't get extended beyond their capabilities. So it's not that Leo's the number one or the number two or the number three. I would suggest that Sweden has the luxury of having three guys that can play big minutes, important situations. And you might say in this situation, oh, that's my number one because that's the guy available right now. And then the next guy comes out and he's the number one. That's a luxury that when you have defensemen, a trio of defensemen like that, Magnus Havled is pretty happy to be able to have that luxury.
Speaking of other prospects of the Sharks have, they're actually another second-round pick in Cole McKinney for USA. Also, Christian Kirsch and Joshua Ravensburg, who may not play. But anyway, do you have any impressions of those guys so far?
Well, we did a little, after the preliminary round, we do an all-star team. Mm-hmm. And in Pool A, which is the USA pool, along with Switzerland and Sweden, we had Christian Kirsch as the all-star goaltender from Group A. That's how well he's played. I mean, he has been very good. Switzerland has really strong goaltending. Mm-hmm. They have him. They have Neuschwander, who was drafted by the Anaheim Ducks, and so that goaltending has been really, really good. And Christian, I mean, it'll be posted on TSN. You'll see that he is the A group. Mm-hmm. After the group play, all-star goaltender. Cole McKinney is a number of years away. He's a competitor. Yeah. He's a player that digs in and gives you a lot of good hard minutes, really good, industrious, tenacious minutes. But his path is a lot longer. I mean, he's at the University of Michigan. He's going to continue to try to excel there. They got a really good team there, and so he's going to benefit obviously from this experience. But he does, like, you watch players and I was at, do they do the things that are part of their game? Do they play? Do they know what their game is? Yeah. I don't think there's any question. Cole knows what he is, and he plays to those skills.
And Craig, we're going to go to the a little bit of the 2026 draft real quick. You had Gavin McKenna number 1 in November. Has Gavin McKenna reaffirmed his number 1 status in your mind, or did he never actually leave the number 1 status for you?
Never left it for me. Mm-hmm. I said this. I've joked about it. If there's a better player, just tell me where he is. Just tell me where he is. And I've watched all the players. I've seen all the players, and they're good players. I'm not trying to sit here and say that they're not good players. But two things I'm going to say about Gavin. Gavin went to Penn State because he wanted to challenge himself in a different way. He could have gone back to junior and got 160 points and like that, but that wasn't what Gavin wanted to do. He wanted to challenge himself off the ice. He wanted to challenge himself every day in practice, and then he wanted to challenge himself in games and scenarios that made it hard for him every single game. He's never trained off ice like during a season because you can't in junior hockey. And now he's trying to get himself prepared for the NHL this fall. And so when he starts to work on that, every day in practice is hard. It's a hard practice every day in college hockey. So he's got that. And then every game you're playing against players that are older, stronger, more mature, and that challenges you. Those three things were things that Gavin understood and wanted to challenge himself on, which I think is fantastic. Now I'm going to make this. Here's where I'm at right here with Gavin. There's not a lot of skill around Gavin at Penn State. And when Gavin gives up the puck at Penn State, it goes to a black hole. It doesn't usually come back to him. It's a very different game. The things that make Gavin McKenna unique and special, I have not seen any evidence that they are not there anymore. None. His brilliance with his mind, his brilliance with his hands and everything. Now he comes and plays with Team Canada. Oh, and lo and behold, he's around some skill. And lo and behold, now you're getting points. I think too many people have been looking at the stats sheet and not watching Gavin McKenna play. And I don't know what they're expecting, but this player is unique. He's creative. He's a top-notch player. And there was nothing that has changed my mind in his time. The same things I saw in Medicine Hat, the same things I've seen since he was 14 are the exact same things I've seen at Penn State. I think Guy Godowski has to get him with better skilled players. I think when you recruit a player as good as Gavin McKenna and you don't put him in a situation with your best and better skilled players, you better be careful because that could hurt you in your recruiting.
Yeah, you're right. Watching the stat sheets, it's kind of like everybody starts to question because he's not, putting up 2 points a game. But there's a transition that has to happen there between juniors to college, and it feels like he's same with Will Smith when he got to college. It took a little bit. That fall semester was a little. You didn't get all of the Will Smith that and then in the spring he's Will Smith. So I wonder if that's the same for McKenna.
Well, again, it's a development path. When you go and watch, if you just want to look at the stat sheet or you want to watch it again, like you watch him with the puck, and he's not a selfish player. Like the thing about Gavin is he knows he's not a person that's denying reality. He looks and goes. He knows that if he passes that puck, that the chances of it getting back to him or somebody being able to do the play with him and the interplay that goes with playing with him might not be as strong as it is with other players, but yet he doesn't deter from any type of team play. He knows I got to move the puck there, and he might not get it back. He might know, but he never displays those traits of selfishness. Okay, now I got to go do it. Gavin doesn't make it about himself. If he wants to go out there and dangle and show everybody, I mean, the players know they hear the talk and they're all aware of what's happening. But Gavin has not in any way, shape, or form taken his game into a selfish path. And I think that speaks volumes about him.
Unfortunately for Gavin, though, unlike Will Smith, he doesn't have Perreault and Ryan Leonard to fall back on and play with. So,
bingo, you nailed it. You're like, that's exactly what you have. Like, Macklin Celebrini had Lane Hudson. And like Macklin again. I don't want to put it like Macklin is a different player.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a different. But you're exactly right. Again, it'll be interesting to see what they do when Guy Godowski was coaching the college select team at the Spengler Cup, which is a real good opportunity there. It'll be really interesting to see what he does. I mean, Aiden Fink is back healthy. I know he got hurt early. He starred at the Spengler Cup, and so it'll be interesting to see what Guy does coming back for the second semester with Penn State in terms of how he sets up Gavin McKenna to be with more skilled players. I know what I'd be doing. It'd be real simple. You're playing left wing with Serrato, and the right winger will be Aiden Fink, and we're loaded right up.
Just about to say that. I really do like Charlie Serrato. I think he's got some.
I do too, but he hasn't played with him.
Yeah, and no disrespect to another Sharks pick, Reese Laubach, but I think Serrato is the guy that really should be with McKenna most nights.
Yeah.
well,
we'll see. Well, I'll send a note to Guy. I said I'm watching you. I'm putting you on the watch list.
Craig, so Gavin McKenna, number one, your 2026 draft top 3 list, let's say, and we know this could change after the World Juniors, but who do you have 2 and 3 then right about now?
Oh wow, you're like, this isn't fair. You didn't tell me you were gonna put my feet to the fire on January 2nd. You can
go back to your November list. That's okay. You can refer back to that.
I'm not going back to my November list.
You're not.
Okay. I think so. This is loosely, so I'm not gonna put. I put a stake in the ground on Gavin.
Yeah.
I think 2 and 3 are Chase Reed and Albert Smits.
Nice.
2 defensemen.
Oh, wow.
Chase Reed is playing for Team USA at the World Junior Tournament. A right shot. I think he's got unbelievable untapped potential, and I think he's already showing how good he is and how good he can be. I think he's brilliant. And Albert Smits with Latvia, he reminds me at the same age of Zach Werenski.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Stenberg for me now is not in that mix.
Yeah. Wow. That's all.
And he's a good player.
Yeah.
Stenberg's a good player. But it's more about what Chase Reed and Albert Smits have shown me. And it's been impressive. It's been like that Chase Reed is something.
I was going to ask your top 3 for 2026 defensemen, and you're tossing some bombs here. So we got 1 and 2. So who's your 3 just to cap off the defensive part? Because for the Sharks, I think that's of active interest, obviously, defense.
Well, there's 3 guys that come in next, I think, after that. And that would be Keaton Vierhoff, Carson Karls, and Juho Piparainen. I think that those are the next three. I mean, Trevor Ryan in his limited time with Finland in the lineup has been excellent. Like, everything I've watched with Juho, and I've watched him for a couple of years now, and he's playing in the Liga and doing very well. He's not flashy. All he is massively effective. I think he's got a Brock Faber type quality to his game. He's not going to be a big offensive guy, but he's going to give you the offense, but really good play. And I mean, Verhoff's like a really good player, and Carl's is too. But those are my 5 defensemen for the draft. But right now, like I have Chase Reed and Albert Smiths ahead of those guys.
And I wonder, because of Macklin and how he has dragged the Sharks timeline forward. Like, we didn't know that. Maybe you knew, but last summer we didn't know that Macklin was basically a top 10 player. Right now he is. So he has dragged the Sharks timeline forward. So my question is, any of these 2026 draft defensemen, do you see them ready to step in to impact either right after they're drafted, which is really hard, I know, or at least in the year following? Because Macklin needs help on defense now, right? So
if we're there to select them, that's another point.
And that's another question too, yeah. But
that's a good point, Keegan.
Yeah.
Well, Albert Smiths is playing in the Liga, and I mean he's a really good player. Like, so, and he's got a December 07 birthday, so he's only got one more year of what I would call under 20 eligibility left, but he's already playing in a very good league against older players and excelling. So he might be the player that might be most ready to come in and play in the National Hockey League next year. He's got a real maturity about him. He's just a terrific player. And Chase Reed, I think, absolutely needs another year, of men. But when you ask me about the year after, I think both those players could be right on the cusp a year later, for sure. But Smiths, don't rule out Smiths being a guy that could come in next year. He's just got a little bit more of he's got a little bit more maturation to himself and to his game. Chase is just still kind of realizing how good he can be, whereas Smiths is like, I know I'm good.
Well, we've zeroed in on World Juniors and the 2026 draft. Sorry for putting you on the spot there, Craig. We're going to put you on the spot for our last couple of questions here. Talking now big picture back to the Sharks. What do you see as kind of then the franchise's next step toward that cup contention? Like we said, Macklin has dragged the timeline forward, so maybe things that you're thinking of doing 2 years from now, you start to think of doing this summer. And so anyway, what do you think is the next step if you were overseeing this franchise?
Well, I think right now for San Jose, getting meaningful games, like they're playing meaningful games. They're in the race. They're in the hunt. And I think that's the first step. You want to make sure that your team can be in a place where the players can compete. One of the most interesting things for me then becomes, what do you do with Mario Ferraro? And, there should be tons of interest in Mario out on the marketplace. There should be. He's a really, really good player. And I think that you better be careful, though. For me, this would be my thinking. You better be careful about, taking a player like that out of your group that's been so instrumental and so important. And I don't know if he wants to re-sign in San Jose. I don't want to speculate on that. But if you have a player and you're in the hunt, you better be careful about removing a player from your lineup down there, because what he can benefit your team with, like growth I'm talking about, instead of having some kids being thrown to the wolves, I think that's really important. You can talk about Macklin, pushing the timeline ahead, and that's great news. That's a positive. That's never not a positive. But at the same time, the experiences that they're starting to go through, playoff race, maybe being right in the hunt down the stretch. You can't just throw those kids into it and just expect them to be able to navigate through it. Having Tyler Toffoli there is a real big key. I think that really helps. I talk about Mario. You have other players, like to me, you want it to grow. You want it to continue to give them those experiences. I think you take this year, and I'll be clear too on this. They have lots of good prospects. They've had draft picks. They don't like if you're trading Mario Ferraro and you're trading for a draft pick in the 2027 draft in the first round. I wouldn't be doing it.
Really?
No, I wouldn't. Because
Okay.
where you trading them to? You're trading them to a team that's going to be a late first round draft pick.
Right.
You're not trading for well, maybe if you traded them to Winnipeg and then you see the year after they're at the bottom of the league, but that's different. And all kidding aside, like to me, you got to evaluate what's going to be the best thing for your young group of players. So I think you go through this experience here, and then you start to see how the players have handled the experience, how they've grown from the experience, and then you start to address some of the areas of your team to try to bolster it. Listen, there's a lot of good young players in the lineup. We talked about Chernyshov, we talked about Dickinson, they're still young. You got to be really cognizant of where they're at. And so I think you need to watch more the development path of those guys, how they handle things, and then try to understand what can help them. What you need to do that. I went through it in Dallas in the mid 90s, and guys like Dave Reed we brought in, Pat Verbeek we brought in.
Sure, veterans, yeah.
Well, guys like, we traded for Joe Nieuwendyk. That was a big trade, but we brought those guys in as free agents because they became players that become really instrumental for that group of players that were trying to continue to find their way. And I think that Mike Grier and the San Jose Sharks, that's the way I would be approaching it. It wouldn't be like I'm watching more right now their development path. Again, they have done so many things the right way.
Right.
Mike has, to me, has been patient at the same time, manipulated it, and got the right players, and that's not changing. But now that growth part, it's not just saying what do we like. It's also watching how they grow and handle things to understand what your next moves are.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really interesting thing that you say. The Sharks also have Alex Wennberg as a free agent, another key guy that's helped them win a lot of games this year.
Yep.
But with Mario, I believe he wants to stay. So I think that this is going to be an interesting test for Mike Grier, kind of the next stage of being a GM. There's the rebuild portion that he has excelled in. He has, perfect 10 with the landing or whatever, right? 10 score with the landing for the rebuild. But then the next step is building a winner. And so that's going to be interesting kind of Rubicon line for him, I think, with Mario and with Wennberg this year.
Yeah, for sure. But again, Mike has lots of experience, being with teams and understanding what it is. And he's measured and patient and he's not afraid to be bold.
Yep.
And I think I don't think you can be, it's not about just doing something for the sake of doing something. It's about saying, okay, this is the right move for us to do right now. But that's through observation. I mean, we made the trade for Joe Nieuwendyk. So many people think, well, look what he did. He won. We made the trade for Joe Nieuwendyk 3.5 years before we won the Stanley Cup. Our key thing in trading for Joe Nieuwendyk was because it was instrumental for us to try to find a player like that around Modano. So Mike now might be looking at who can be the instrumental guy to surround Macklin.
Yeah.
Right. And actually, that's a crazy comp because not everybody listening will remember this, but Dallas drafted Jarome Iginla with the first-round pick. And obviously, everyone knows the career that Jarome had. And Dallas traded – this is a classic, trading basically the youth for the Stanley Cup to some degree, right? Even though it wasn't like a one-for-one trade. But trading Iginla for Nieuwendyk. And Nieuwendyk was in his 30s, right? And Iginla obviously gave Calgary a long career. But you guys won a Stanley Cup with Nieuwendyk. And he was the right guy to add next to Modano. And so that's one of those classic. I don't know if Mike Grier will have something like that where you trade Quentin Musty for some veteran or even not Chernyshov at this point, I guess. But you guys know what I mean, though. So
you say that. So you say that, and we went through that same exercise.
Yeah.
Was Joe still in his 20s, and he was an
really?
elite player.
No.
Yeah, he was still.
I thought he was in his 30s. Okay.
No, he was, and he was an elite player. But the key thing wasn't about it was about Modano. It was about what we needed to do to help Mike. Mike was a competitor, but it wasn't going to help our team if we didn't help Modano. And it wasn't easy to trade Jarome Iginla. we knew Jerome was a really good player, but that was what we had to do, and it was more about paying homage to our youth at that time. We had Hatcher, we had Lettinen, we had Lagenbrunner, we had Matvechuk. We had a lot of good young, but Modano was the linchpin there. And like the San Jose Sharks have a lot of guys there that are younger and everything, knowing who your linchpins are and then making sure you can help them because they're competitors. And competitors want to know that they have a chance to win. And if you don't show them that they have a chance to win and you don't give them opportunity to explore that path, trust me, they start to lose confidence.
Right. And I think that's part of what I mentioned too with keeping your free agents, be it Mario or Wenberg or even Mikhail Granlund last year. You got to send the right message to Macklin too. Like you're speaking to Macklin that way. And thank you for correcting me. Nieuwendyk was 29 when you guys acquired him with Dallas. So just want to make that correction. But I think though we don't ask ourselves enough though. Actually, then I think you bring up a great point. Like, what's the best fit around Macklin? What's the type of player he needs around him? Who should be his 2C? Who's the right kind of 2C for him after him? And those are questions that I think you're talking about that stage of the next step for this franchise. Maybe that's how you start to look at it. So that's, I think, great.
Well, and just to add to that, so Macklin's had a taste of success, like in his career. I'm not just talking about. But now he's going to go play with all these good players with Canada's Olympic team. He plays against Colorado, so he looks at Colorado and goes, well, Arturi Lehkonen plays with McKinnon. Is there an Arturi Lehkonen out there? This is how the players start. They think like this. Yeah, he's got Nate Chast there, but he used to have Rantanen there. And now you and the players think like this. They start to go, okay, who plays with him and who plays with that? Well, Zach Hyman is really good with McDavid. Like, is there a Zach Hyman out there? Like, we tend to think of it as this big sparkling player, right? But it's a lot of times it's not that player that's the best fit. But the good players are always looking for a player that could be a nice fit, and they're looking around and going, okay, McKinnon has him. That's interesting. What would Nichushkin? And I'm not suggesting. I'm just saying as you look elsewhere. What would Nichushkin look like on our team? Do we have a guy that could be like that? And Mike Grier, trust me on this, Mike Grier's thinking the same way. But Macklin Celebrini and these guys, that's how they think. And they want to have success, and they're looking at what can give them that success. So when I say they lose confidence, I'm not suggesting they become any less of competitors, but they lose, okay, well, what's the path for us to win here? Can we ultimately be competitive? And that's what you always, as management, have to keep showing the players, in my view.
Well, I've used this comp before that, and you would know this better actually than me for sure, but I felt like the Islanders didn't show Sean DeFars enough, and that's ultimately, I think, a big reason why he left. So,
well, and that's a great example, right? Like, and so, you know, he's a young player, first overall, he's the captain, you know, promise, really good player. And he says, no, it's not for me right now, right? And again, that's a huge part of it and a great example. Trust me, we had fears about Mike Modano coming in and saying, maybe this isn't the right place for me. Not that Mike, that wasn't Mike. I don't want to suggest it was. Of course. But when you're a competitor, you don't want to be in non-competitive situations.
Right.
Yeah. Look at Jack Eichel and the Sabres and all that as well.
Bingo, Keegan.
Yeah, that's a good
Bingo,
one.
right?
They didn't.
And now he's in a competitive situation. Here, I'll stay here long term.
Yeah.
Create the environment, and Field of Dreams, Kevin Costner, build it and they will come.
Yeah. Well, I think that's incredibly insightful, Craig. And just the concept of looking at it through the lens of what does this core of youngsters need from the GM perspective, I just think that's so insightful. And to your point about Mario, he's such a locker room guy too. So there's so many intangibles there too, where if you strip a guy like that out of the locker room, it's not just what's on the ice. I think that can really deflate a team. So I think it's an incredibly good point. And to that point in all your bold predictions, Craig, my next question for you is, do you think the Sharks are going to make the playoffs this year?
Yes or no question, Craig.
This is called the Randy Hahn Rubicon because Randy Hahn came on and proclaimed that Sharks are making the playoffs.
Well, Randy's sharp and he knows what things look like. here's how I'll position it is. I look at it like to me, the top 3 teams in the Pacific and the top 3 teams in the Central are pretty much, I think they're establishing themselves as to who they are. Now, when I look at teams that are in that hunt for the wild card space, like I had Anaheim in the playoffs. I did have Anaheim in the playoffs, and I had St. Louis in the playoffs. I don't see St. Louis in the playoffs. I don't see Winnipeg in the playoffs.
Wow,
I don't see Calgary in the playoffs.
Okay.
No, Winnipeg is just, they got too many. It's just falling apart too much for them. Somebody said this to me the other day, so I'm not taking credit for it. I said, Winnipeg could be this year's New York Rangers, President's Trophy to out of the playoffs. And, and then you try to rebound, and it's a big puzzle there. Calgary's not a playoff team. Seattle's not a playoff team. Chicago's not a playoff team. Nashville's playing better now. So I look at the group. I look at the group that they're competing with. To me, they're competing with Anaheim. They're competing with
Utah, I think, is
Vancouver, Utah,
Yeah.
and it looks like Nashville.
Yeah.
So when I look at the form of it, like when you have who's the best player in that group?
Macklin.
Who's the second best player in that group? It's Leo Carlson to me.
Yeah.
So I had Anaheim in the hunt for the playoffs.
Yeah.
So I will jump on with Randy and say that my 2 wildcard teams are Anaheim and the San Jose Sharks.
Wow.
Love it.
All right.
Love it.
Well, I had St. Louis, and St. Louis just isn't good enough. They're just not good enough.
Yeah.
And they, like Winnipeg, have just fallen off. And I don't think Nashville has enough. I just don't. I mean, Andrew Burnett's done a nice job in turning that thing around. I think he has. Utah, to me, I don't think they have enough completeness in their team and completeness in their game to be able. And I think that's one of the things that the coach in San Jose has really done a nice job with San Jose is understand. And we talked about Sam Dickinson. Hey, you're going to understand this part of the game. You're going to understand this part of the game. You're going to do this part of the game. And I think that gives them a little nudge ahead. I think, Joe Quenneville's record is phenomenal, but that's where I see it right now. Vancouver, they're in. I mean, Rossi's hurt now again, and they get some injuries. It just doesn't feel like Vancouver can break out of. They've had excellent goaltending. They play hard, but it just feels like they just can't find that consistency of player availability.
Sure.
that hurts them. But that's how I see it right now.
Yeah. You've crossed the Randy
The
Hahn
Randy
line.
Hahn line.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I hope when I get there in March for some broadcast games that the Sharks are right in the hunt, because as you guys know, and I certainly do know and having experienced it, the Shark Tank is a special place in the NHL.
Yeah.
The fans are phenomenal. And obviously the last couple of years, it's been a rebuild, but you're starting to feel that the Shark Tank is getting populated again, and it never felt right the last couple of years being in San Jose. You go, okay, something's not right here, and you understand it, but it's starting to feel right again. It feels like the hockey world, as it relates to the San Jose Sharks and the Shark Tank, is starting to turn in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Craig, for coming on. Any other final thoughts about the World Juniors? Anything before we let you go?
My only final thought is right now, at the outset of it, we do a little fun bracketology, and we do it. And I had Canada and Sweden in the gold medal game, and I thought that Canada would win. On January the 2nd, I have nudged the Swedes as the favorite to win the gold medal here. They look like a really well balanced, hard team. So
love it.
That's how, teams have a chance to show what they're capable of in the quarterfinals and continue to build on. But Sweden right now, to me, looks like the team that is just really pulling it together, really complete, really steady. So I'm giving them the nudge. I'll be asked that on the broadcast, probably going into the semifinals. Am I ready to change my prediction? And I'll tell you guys, you got it first. I am ready to change my prediction.
Craig, can I ask you one quick question that I forgot to ask? Joe Nieuwendyk, for the fans who don't know his game, why was he the right fit for Modano?
Well, I mean, we looked at Detroit. They had Yzerman and Fedorov.
Sure.
Colorado had Sakic and Forsberg, and we had Modano, and we knew we had a superstar in Modano, but
Right.
we knew we were going nowhere if we didn't get another center. And we tried to sign some centers. We tried to get some guys in free agency, and we weren't able to do it. We explored it, and then we got lucky. And this is why I say you got to be open and you got to be paying attention. Joe had made a decision that he wasn't going to go back to Calgary. So now he held out, and now
Right.
we become now not just us, but the league becomes beneficiaries of a player being available that you didn't think was available. And so that's why. And Al Coates made a hell of a trade. And Al was very, very thorough and very consistent with respect to saying, and he told us pretty early on, if you want to talk about Joe, this is what it's going to take. Like he didn't beat him, and and we go through the conversations, and when we got to if we wanted Joe, and are we going to keep throwing Mike to the Wolves? And the Wolves were Forsberg and Sakic and Fedorov and Yzerman. We had to find a center, not just a centerman, but a centerman that could carry those minutes and support Mike in the way he did. And Joe became available. So I'd like to tell you that we were sitting there circling Joe Nieuwendyk and waiting. No, he became available. And if we had signed some of the guys we pursued in free agency, Joe wouldn't have been an option. But because we weren't able, through our lack of success, we were able to get success. Sometimes by failing, it ends up being the best thing. Like Bob Gainey used to have a line. He used to say, sometimes there's only one thing worse than not getting the player. It's getting the player. So if we would have got one of those free agents, we would not have had a chance to get Joe. And let me tell you this about Joe, too. Joe was a great player. Joe came into our team, and we talk about off ice and his mentorship and leadership and maturity. I'm telling you, it was like that.
Yeah.
It was instantaneous how he walked in and commanded the room. He had won, he'd been highly successful, and he had instant respect in that room. And then by extension, so I talk about other players around the league, all of a sudden, other players around the league are looking at, oh, geez, these guys in Dallas are serious.
Yeah.
Right? And so if we don't get Joe Nieuwendyk, maybe Pat Verbeek says, why would I go there? Maybe Dave Reed, who was a really good, strong player for us, he goes, why do I want to go there?
Or
why does
still Eddie Belfour from San Jose.
I knew you were going there. But you're exactly right. We don't get those guys. So it's the dominoes fall in a certain way, and for us, because of the fact that Joe became available, and we knew we had to do that, but all of a sudden now we had to be really serious about doing it, and we were, and then obviously there was a lot of benefits accrued from the acquisition. So, you look at the trade and you say, yeah, Jerome was Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
We knew he was a really good player. I'd like to tell you we thought he was going to be a 600 goal scorer. Nobody in our, we'd be lying if we said that. But we knew he was a really good player. But, we trade Jerome for Joe, but we get Joe. But what else did we get because we got Joe?
Yeah. Good point. Well, Craig, thank you so much for your time. I know we've gotten over a little bit, so got to let you go here. But anyway, really appreciate this. Thank you so much. Go up with the broadcasting today, and look forward to seeing you in March.
You guys are good guys. So, when you asked me to come on, I always enjoy chatting with you guys. Like I said, you're an extension of the fan base, and the fan base is wonderful, and they're passionate. I just talked about the Shark Tank, and you guys are wonderful, and you're passionate as well. So when you asked me to come on and be part of it, I try to find the time to do so.
Thanks, man.
Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
it.
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate it.